Welcome to the Country Hipster podcast. I am Paul, the Country Hipster. Is my co-host over there, my brother Adam.
What's up, guys?
And this lovely person next to me is our first special guest here on the Country Hipster podcast. My very good friend of many years, Mr. Frank Daly from Jameson Celtic Rock.
How are you?
Frank, all right.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So I have known Frank since I was 14 years old. And if you watched episode 1, which hopefully you did, Frank was supposed to be our special guest on the Bright Eyes episode. However, we're both playing Irish rock bands that were very busy and both of our brains kind of fried up.
Yeah, can I comment on that real quick?
Yes, please.
The fact that nobody brought up that Jim James from My Morning Jacket also appeared on that album just blew my mind, because it was one of the best guest appearances of any album, I think, and it wasn't even mentioned. So.
Yeah, I couldn't. If My Morning Jacket smacked me in the face, I'd be like, who the fuck was that? I'd have no idea who it was. So that would be probably my fault. Although I'm kind of surprised you're not a My Morning Jacket fan.
They're one of the bands where I'm aware of them and I've started listening to them, but then just got distracted with something else and just never kept with it. But what I've heard of them, I do enjoy.
That actually, you just described my first marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get out of here.
So we are here today. We have a couple of firsts today. The first is our first in-studio guest, Mr. Frank Daly. And this is also our first Booze and Vinyl episode. But what we are here to talk about, and we'll get into Booze and Vinyl in 1 second, what we are here to talk about is, and I keep fucking forgetting to do this. I got my notes. I forget my notes. I hope you like the intro music. I always got to give a shout out to my boys, the Unholy Four from Charlottesville, Virginia. Check them out on Instagram, Bandcamp. Actually, I found out today they have a Facebook. I don't know if Sean knows that, but yeah. So check out the Unholy Four. That song is called "Dirty Knife," and they got a bunch of stuff out there, and it's great. But we're not here to talk about the Unholy Four. We are here to talk about one of my personal favorite albums. This was one of my 25, The Smiths. The Queen is Dead. And as I had said, there we go, put it up there. This is our first Booze and Vinyl episode. So what does that mean? So this book here, right here, this is called Booze and Vinyl Volume 1. It is by Andre Darlington and Tanaya Darlington. This book was given to me. No relation. We don't think they're related.
What are the odds?
Yes, this book was given to me as a Christmas gift a few years back from a friend of mine who knew that I liked vinyl and I like booze, as you guys have witnessed on the Country Hipster podcast. And it is actually my inspiration to do this, to talk about records and drinks and the drinks that go with them. And this particular book has recipes that go with, I think there are 46 different recipes, 46 different albums that are mentioned in this book, and it shows you how to make the drinks, gives you little stories behind them. The reason this is a Booze and Vinyl episode is because The Queen is Dead is one of the drinks, one of the albums mentioned, as you can see right there, in this book. So we usually start off with what are we drinking? And I'm going to make the drink for these gentlemen.
What are we drinking?
Here. We are drinking a Royal Pimm's Cup. Apparently, a regular Pimm's Cup is Pimm's, which is this liquor right here, which apparently is a gin-based liquor with spirits, gin, obviously, and then some other shit is mixed in, some fruit and spices and stuff like that.
Never heard of that.
I never heard of it either.
When I was reading the description, it kind of struck me as gin sangria.
Yeah, I guess that's, it's actually what's funny is on the back, it has a jug for everyone, where it's basically, Pimm's and lemon lime soda, and you put fruit in a jug.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. So there's that. So
I'm not a gin fan, but that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So this should be interesting. This is the first drink we're gonna do. Midway through, we will do the second drink. But this is the Royal Pimm's Cup, and this apparently goes with the Smiths' The Queen is Dead. It's something to drink while listening to Smiths' Queen is Dead. So.
Now, Frank, you said you're not a gin fan.
I'm not.
Paul, are you a gin fan?
So at one point I had to stop drinking gin because every time I did, I got myself into trouble. So I love gin.
That's me with whiskey.
Yeah.
I can't touch whiskey.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
All
real
right.
bad.
So what we're doing here with this is we got to put in some fruit. We got orange, strawberries, and cucumbers, which all go into this, and I have to muddle them together. I had to look up a video on how to muddle fruit in a
What is muddling?
drink.
It's
Muddling
just
is basically
you just smash it together.
smashing it up. So I don't have a muddler.
Like when they make a mojito?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I don't have a muddler, but I have my ice cream scoop, which is basically counts as a muddler. So I'm muddling this up here. All right. There you go. You want to muddle yours up there?
I would
buddy?
love to muddle
Go
it
ahead.
up.
All right, so we got that, and then we need. So I got that together. All right. Oh, I actually already made a mistake. So apparently you're supposed to put the pims in with the fruit when you muddle. So
I was gonna say generally it does help if there is like I know I enjoy an old fashioned, and I know when I make old fashions they tell you to do the bourbon and a cherry and your sugar to muddle to get you need like a little bit of a lubrication.
yep. All right.
So I'll remuddle once.
You can remuddle. I will remuddle as well. So I am using a shot glass to measure out the measurements, just so that we are true to the recipe. I have.
So your manager doesn't yell at you?
So my manager doesn't.
Yell.
I have. The other thing is too. I have been a bartender in the past. I worked at a bar in Northeast Philadelphia called Big Nick's Saloon, and we didn't make fancy drinks. Basically, I poured a lot of draft beer.
Yes, and that was a real beer and shot kind of bar.
Yeah, someone would come in and ask for like, unless it was like a Sunday afternoon, but someone would come in and be like, "Can I get a Red Death?" And I'd be like, "The fuck you can? You can get the Red Death the fuck out of here." All right, so now we gotta put some ice in. So put some ice in mine. We got some ice cubes there.
Okay.
All right, so that's the other reason. And like I said, if I was making this or some other drink,
Remuddle.
Thank you, I'll remuddle, or some other drink at my
Work on this.
yeah, if you don't mind, at my own leisure, I would not be using the shot glass to do this. So let me move this over, since we're done with that.
I mean, as is, it smells good.
Yeah.
But basically, all I'm getting is the orange.
Okay. Well, this is the fun part, because basically we are now the other
We
thing.
shake this up first?
Yes, yes. What goes into the Royal Pims cup is we got 2 ounces of Pims, a cucumber slice, an orange slice, a strawberry, which is sliced up, 3 ounces of champagne or other sparkling wine. We are using Prosecco because I am cheap and I'm not buying other champagne.
By the way, if you'd like to sponsor the Country Hipster podcast, just comment down below.
Yes. Yes, so. And so basically we're making a Pims, almost like a mimosa. So there you go there.
Sorry.
All right.
To the rim.
To the rim. Do it to the rim. It's always to the rim.
To the windows and then to the wall.
There you go.
If this is really bad, we're still going to talk about the album,
We're
right?
still going to talk about the album, and we're still going to drink this drink, but we have beers too. So
We're all just gonna
put that to the side. All right. So here you go.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, gentlemen, to Morrissey, Johnny Marr, and the other 2 guys in the Smiths, and the Queen is dead. Cheers.
The 2 other guys whose names we don't give a shit about.
Neither did they, actually.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yes, they really didn't.
They signed the record deal without them, too.
Yes.
Oh,
They
really?
ended
Yeah.
up suing them later.
Oh, yeah.
They got
And-
screwed.
And I think at one point, to that, let me put this back.
I'm not gonna. That's not bad.
That's
Not bad. No. No, I can't tell what it tastes like, if anything, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it definitely tastes like. I probably wouldn't be like, oh man, let's go. Let's have ourselves a raging Friday night. Let's go get ourselves a bottle of Pims and some Prosecco.
Right.
But it's fucking good.
It's good.
I would drink it again. That's for sure. I had to make space in the cooler, so I got some beers out. But no, this is not bad.
If I'm binge watching a Hallmark show, I'm
Yes, yes.
come on.
This is, you know what? This is a Willie Nelson Stardust drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see, because we were talking about how, like, in that episode, which is already, actually, wait, that's up this week.
That's the third
yeah,
episode.
we're about 2 weeks ahead. So episode 2, when you'll be going back in time. Fuck, I always fuck that up.
Go back in
Go
time.
back in time. And, yeah, so we talk about that where, I say, like, Stardust is like an album where, like, I feel like I'm going to sit on my deck on a hot summer's night and just, like, relax with, like, a nice drink. This would be a drink like that.
I can see it.
Listen to Stardust. Sit in a rocking chair. Remark about how good it is to own land.
It is good to own land. We actually we did start our deck today. So that's what I've been up to. We started redoing our deck today, and I played some shows last weekend, which was nice. Back-to-back shows. I played Friday night at the AOH in Bristol, and then Saturday I played the Horse. Every second Saturday of every month, if you want to see me perform, I am at the Horse in Sellersville. With the exception of June, they actually have me the first Saturday in June, but whatever. Either way, check out the Horse. Check me out at the Horse. What have you been up to? Anything good?
Trying to think. Caught up on Succession.
Okay.
That's pretty. It's going pretty good. Tomorrow we had a little bit of a scheduling conflict with Summer Movie Club. I had to. We were originally going to record our newer episode last Thursday, but I ended up having to go into work to do some training thing. So actually tomorrow we're actually recording. It's one of our live watches. So Zach and I are going to be watching Billy Madison while talking shit about it. But there's not much to talk. I mean, if we were watching a newer Adam Sandler movie, there'd be a lot to talk shit about. But I feel like classic Adam Sandler, there's not much to talk shit about. Just talk about like all the dumb shit that happens in that movie.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen Billy Madison.
No,
Really?
I know.
Oh, it's a good one,
right?
it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Catching up on shows, Succession and not Fireflies, Yellow Jackets.
Okay.
Just started back up, so I've caught up with those, and I got an episode of Summer Movie Club that I still have to post, which is Fargo.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that.
So yeah,
The movie?
Yeah, the schedule got all screwed up, so I think we ended up being like a week behind. But yeah, I got the episode that I'm probably gonna put out tomorrow, and then me and Zach are gonna record tomorrow.
There you go.
And then that's about it.
Dude, are you guys catching the fucking cucumber on this? I
Yeah.
wasn't sure how that was going to work.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
it's nice.
oh, that's really nice.
It's like you ever put cucumber in water? Mm-hmm. And it kind of makes it a
yeah,
little bit
yeah, no,
different.
that's really nice. But sorry,
I don't know if I'm
you're spitting pieces out.
I don't know if I'm
Got
getting
a piece
the
of
cucumber.
strawberry that was trying to get in.
I think all I'm getting really is orange.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it just like the orange is like is just there.
Did you do a shitty muddle?
No, I think what happened was the orange protected everything else while I was like the orange was like I'll jump on this grenade.
Okay.
So I beat the hell out of the strawberries.
Yeah, you
And
did.
I've got little strawberries all over, and it's pretty good like that.
And now we know that Frank Daly is a spitter, not a swallower. So
You know what this feels like?
I got nothing.
Ooh, I'm spilling. I'm a spiller.
get a rag.
This it feels like this would be something like I don't know what happened at weddings. But I feel like at a certain point in weddings, it was just like every single wedding you go to now has a fucking photo booth, and every single wedding you go to has a fucking signature cocktail
Or two.
or
For the
two,
his and the
one
hers.
for the groom, one for the bride. I feel like this would be a fucking signature cocktail at a fucking wedding.
Here's what I will say. My wedding had none of those fucking things, but what we did have was Frank Daly from Jameson
That's
Celtic
true. We did
Rock.
play.
So
We played it.
Tell me about what have you been up to, Frank? Tell
Playing
me
a
about,
lot.
you
Coming
know.
on St. Patrick's Day, which is always busy. Took the week off after that. Went down to Florida to Clearwater for a few days. And now we're just trying to get all prepped up for summer, learning a bunch of new songs. The one guy in our band likes to mess with me, and he has a side text of the band, so they all learn a song every week, and they don't tell me what song it is. This has been going on like the last 5 or 6 shows.
Nice.
And then they just bust into it, and I quick had to figure out what song it is, and hopefully I know the words.
It's a fun game.
That is a fun game.
Yeah.
Really uncomfortable, but
I can imagine, but
it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
And they just do it in the middle of the set?
Yeah. It's usually the beginning of a set or like right in the middle. He'll tell everybody like, don't start the next song, and then he'll go up to the mic and then explain what he's about to do, and my heart just drops. And
just out of curiosity, can you give me a couple of the songs that they have sprung on you?
yeah, so the one last week was Michael Jackson, "Smooth Criminal."
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. Yeah, it's a bitch. The one before that was Santa Monica. Geez, what was the one before that? I forget. He picks a lot of 90s songs,
Okay.
which is good. I'm all about it.
Uh-huh.
But like I don't know the words to "Smooth Criminal."
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I real quick had to pull up my phone and look like I knew what I was doing to anybody that didn't know I was holding the phone. But
Yeah.
I tell you what, I like that sounds like a blast, but I'm actually glad that because I did spend a few summers playing some gigs with Jameson. I am glad that I am not a part of that because I would be like you, like even if I knew what the song, I'd be like, fuck, what? I don't know this song. Yeah, and so, but yeah, good time. So
yeah.
So is there a Jameson website?
There is JamesonCR.com. It's Jameson with an I, and that's pretty much the same on all the social medias too.
Cool, all over the social media. So
Yep.
So enough of the pleasantries.
Okay.
The Smiths, the Queen is dead. All right.
I can't wait to talk about this album.
This is going to be great. Let me give you the factoids here with The Queen is Dead. Number one, this is from one of my 25. As we explained before, the stack of records off to the left there of the Genesee Cream Ale 12 horse. Actually, I just realized that's 12 horse ale. Is there an actual Genesee Cream Ale or Genesee 12 horse ale?
I don't think anymore.
Oh.
I think now they literally just have like
Cream ale.
regular
Genesee and cream.
And I think they have like a light.
Really?
Is Genesee Cream Ale even a thing anymore?
Oh yeah,
Is it really?
Yeah. I actually almost picked
Jenny
up
Creams
a.
is what's up.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, the
I haven't had it
year
in 20 years.
my ex-wife's mom's boyfriend is a sales rep for like a wholesale beer distributor down in the Northeast. So he always had beer for family parties. So he brought over a... You know when you go to like the big box stores like Sam's Club, BJ's, like one of those, you get like the big cases of soda that has like the flat box?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It was one of those filled with like pounders of regular Jenny, light,
really?
and cream. So that's what we had the year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl. It was just a fuck ton of Jenny
nice.
cream.
Nice.
It was beautiful.
You know, for a long time, our brother Michael was very into the Jenny Cream Ale.
Yeah.
Like he'd buy like two 30 packs, and it, like between him and Aunt Lynn and Lizzie, it'd be gone in like 2 days. They would
And
just
it's
sit there.
good?
It's
It's decent.
It's drinkable.
I want to say it's 20, 25 years since I've had a Jenny Cream Ale.
It is not as good as the Pim
Yeah.
Royal Pim's Cup. So, which I'm actually almost done mine. It's pretty good.
Well,
So back to that.
I'm eating strawberries again.
There you go. Oh, you're gonna swallow this?
I
time?
got one too. It caught me off guard.
So, like I was saying, over to the left of is the case that has Adam's 25. The over to my right is my case, my 25. So this album here is one of my 25 records that I picked. So we're actually two for two for records now. We have two episodes of my records, 2 episodes of Adam's records, and here are the factoids on the Smiths. The Queen is Dead. This was released on June 16th, 1986 in the UK, and a week later it was released in the US. What I did not realize is that this album was produced by Morrissey and Johnny Marr. It spent 22 weeks on the UK charts and hit number 2, and hit number 70 on the US Billboard charts, and was registered gold in 1990. It appeared in the 2023 or 2020 list. We had discussed that before, how sometimes the Rolling Stone magazine does their top 500 records of all time. They've actually done it 3 times. When we brought it up before about Stardust, they did it in I had it written down before. I think it was like 2010, 2012, and then they did it again in 2020. And this one actually appears on 2 of the list, but it is the only Smiths album to appear on the 2020 version and clocked in at number 113 on the Rolling Stones top 500 albums. So
Of all time?
Of all time. Yep. And
agree with that.
I don't know how they come up with that information, but they do. And it's funny because, like, you know, I think for me personally to see that at 113, I'm like, that's probably about right. You know,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
For me personally, possibly a little bit high, but not like out of the realm high.
So I think for me personally, it would be a lot higher just because of the music that I listen to. But I think in the grand scheme of albums of all time, I put that around 100, 120.
Yeah, this album here, when I went through my 25, like when we first came up with the concept of the podcast, and I started thinking of my 25 records, this was one of the top 5 that I wrote down. Like, I wasn't even looking at my record collection. I actually revamped my list a few times because, like, I was kind of going off memory the first time, and then I'm looking, I'm like, why the fuck would I put this album in here for the first, for the first season?
I did the exact same thing.
Yeah,
so.
but like right away.
At that point, my records were living here, and
What?
I was living an hour away from my records, so I couldn't remember what was in my fucking collection.
Exactly, and I got to look at your collection. I'm like, God, don't do this one, don't do this one, don't do this one. But no, this was like, if this was not like the second or third album that I wrote down, it was definitely like the top 5 albums that I wrote down, and I was just like yeah, no, this is definitely that much of an album to me. I love this album. It is way better than Say Anything. This is it's a Real Boy, which was last week's episode. So the first time I heard this album, and consequently subsequently the Smiths, was it was freshman year of high school, so it was the fall of 1990, and I was on a date with a girl, and there was this dude who was driving us around, and me and her were making out in the backseat of his car while he drove us around Northeast Philadelphia, and put the Smiths on, and it's playing, and I'm like, God damn, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. So that night I discovered the Smiths and discovered the Violent Femmes.
What song was
the
it?
same night? The first song it was on was Big Mouth.
Oh, really?
Big Mouth, yep,
Okay.
yep. And and I was just like, my God, this is amazing. What is this? And they're like, this is the Smiths. And I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing.
I honestly thought you were going to say is like that night I discovered the Smiths, the Violent Femmes, and Erections.
I thought it was going to be something
I
along
thought I
those
was
lines,
going that
too.
way too.
I was waiting for it when he said he was making out with a girl in the car.
Yeah, no, that was a fun day. Yeah, we made out in the back of the car while this dude Nick drove us around. Nick, we actually went to high school with. I can't remember his last name, but he was older than me because she was older than me too. Like I was
Okay.
a freshman, she was a junior, and he had a car, and like they drove us around, and we went to Nifty 50s, and you know what I mean, and just drove around, and then finally took us home, and like I was making out with her the whole time in the backseat of his car while he drove us around. It was like
It's like a weird service that I think we should start, like a weird form of Uber, just like
So the kids can make out in the back seat?
just like providing children safe places to make out. And
Sounds a little pervy.
yeah, a
honestly.
little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah.
From a driver's standpoint?
I think there might be some issues with that.
Oh no,
like,
it's going to be problematic. I'm not saying there's not going to be issues.
Yeah, I'm out on this. Thank you.
yeah, I mean, you probably have to be like, you both got to be 18.
Well, you got to be 18 for me to film it. Let's be real.
Wow, man. I was going to have my kids watch this podcast, but I think I'm going to pass on that one.
Yeah, right.
So I actually remember where I was the first second I heard the Smiths too.
Okay,
and it was a song from this album.
Were you making out with someone in the back
I
of the
was
car?
not making out, but it was either late 1986 or early 1987, and I was in, I guess, 7th grade. Yeah, I was in 7th grade. So it must have been 1987. And my sister's best friend was into like really, really cool music. And I was just starting to get into really cool music, or so I thought. And I loved U2, and her friend got me into The Cure. And then I was at my house, the house I grew up in, and I remember being in the bathroom. My mother had this stereo downstairs. Do you remember the big giant speaker stereos? In the middle was a console that had record player and then cassettes and tuner and all that stuff.
Yep.
And my sister must have turned this thing all the way up. And I remember standing in the bathroom, and the beginning of There Is a Light That Never Goes Out came on. And I remember in the bathroom looking at myself in the mirror going, what the hell is this? And when the chorus kicked in and the strings came in, I had chills. And that was it. I was sold. I've been a Smiths fan ever since. I still have a Smiths shirt that I wear once a month. So yeah, that was the first time I'd ever heard them.
Nice.
Not quite as erotic as the first time you did, but
What was your first experience with the Smiths?
It's funny because my first experience with the Smiths
Now,
wasn't.
granted, we've talked about Adam's history, so he was probably 8 years old making out with a 17-year-old in the back of a car while I drove them around. But exactly.
My first exposure to the Smiths wasn't the Smiths at all. My first exposure to the Smiths was through
Charmed.
Death Cab for Cutie. On their one album, I believe it's called "You Can Play These Songs with Chords."
Okay.
They do a cover of "This Charming Man."
Okay.
So our brother Zach had this album. I had listened to it, and I said, "Oh, I really like that song." And he's like, "Oh, well, that's a cover." And I said, "Who's it a cover of?" And he told me the Smiths. And then I quickly found out afterwards, as Paul mentioned, that at the time, our sister really liked the show Charmed. And the Smiths are the theme song for Charmed.
Except
Spit
that,
Love.
yeah, I was going to say, except that is not the Smiths either.
yeah,
That is
that's
Love, Spit Love.
that's the singer for Psychedelic Furs,
Yes.
his side project.
Yep.
And do you know it sucks? I don't think that appears in any streaming service, and I still love that cover, but you can only get it on YouTube.
I will tell you that Love Spit Love put out one album. It's an amazing fucking album. It's
Yeah.
a great album. I actually got to see Love Spit Love at the TLA
Get out, really?
back in 1994, 95, something like that, and it was cool to the point where like they only had the one album. Came out fucking phenomenal show. It was great. And then for the encore, they had to redo one of the songs that they
Get
already
out,
put.
really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
And but like and I really liked Psychedelic Furs, way into Psychedelic Furs. So like I got to see Love Spit Love, and then fast forward a few years, I was going to a concert, and it was at God, I don't even know what they called it. The place over in Camden, the big amphitheater, which I don't even know what it's called. That was like
The
Truist
Freedom.
Center?
Now it's the Freedom Mortgage
Okay.
Center.
At that point, it might have still been the Sony Blockbuster Center.
remember that one.
Who knows? But so it was the Psychedelic Furs. It was the B-52s and the Go-Go's. Now I love the Go-Go's. I'd already seen the Go-Go's once before, so it's going to be my second time seeing the Go-Go's. Real excited about it. I was really into the B-52s in like the early '90s, high school. The whole Cosmic thing, Love Shack thing. I got into them, but then I kind of fell out of whatever. So I didn't really care about the B-52s, but I was super excited to see the Psychedelic Furs. They got up on stage and fucking sucked.
No,
It was
You're kidding.
bad. It just wasn't good.
Because they're still touring today.
Yeah, I know. Which kind of makes me
wild.
think, like, man, maybe they were really drunk. Maybe the sound was really bad.
Yeah, so was it an off night, or is it just that they're just not a good live band?
I don't know. That's why I kind of want to see them again.
They got to be around 40 years at this point. So
Yeah.
must have just been an off. It couldn't be that terrible, and nobody's heard about it since, right? I mean,
What
I'm
was
guessing.
cool that I liked about it too is that who was playing keyboard for him was this woman who I can't remember her name, but she was in the band Information Society.
Oh, sure, I
which
remember
I
them.
fucking love Information Society. So I was all about it for to see her play, see the Psychedelic Furs, and they fucking like shit the bed. It was fucking horrible.
That sucks.
And then the B-52s came up, and I was like kind of disappointed. I'm like, fuck, man, like. I really wasn't that interested in seeing the B-52s because I was really, really excited about the Psychedelic Furs, and I was kind of fucking let down. The B-52s fucking blew up the place.
You know, really?
One of the absolute most amazing live shows I ever saw.
No.
was
It
the
was
B-52s.
a little fuzz.
Yeah, was the B-52s.
You don't have to
at that show.
apologize to the smoker. For
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
And then the Go-Go's came up, and the Go-Go's do what they do, and they were, you know what I mean, they're just like a fucking solid, straightforward band. But I mean, I was that's rekindled my love for the B-52s, and like I was like, okay, yep, I'm into it.
I have a funny story about the B-52s. So in the late 90s, I had
is
this
good.
coffee
This is a good
shop
story.
downtown, right? And
You had a coffee shop, or you were
Yeah,
at
Actually,
Oh, I
I've
had
heard
a
the
coffee
story.
shop.
You,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
tell Adam the story while I go grab the glasses for our next drink from the Booze and Vine.
Sounds good. So I had this coffee shop in Center City, and the B-52s were playing in town, and there was a real fancy hotel that was right by it. And right in the middle of the morning rush, Rob Schneider came in from the B-52s, and there was always a line out the door, and I, having grown up listening to them, was very excited.
Yeah.
And he was very quiet and very subdued, and I said, "Oh my God, are you Rob Schneider from the B-52s?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "I'm like a giant fan." And he said, "Okay." And then he left, and I thought, what a dickhead. Because like on stage, he's like super
Yeah.
animated. The next day, you know what? So this was the day before the show. That night was the show. The next day, he came in again, and he's in the back of the line. He's yelling. He's like, "Your coffee's so good. Your coffee's phenomenal. I haven't stopped talking about it." And he got up, and I just said, "Thanks," and let him go. And to me, I felt like I'd burned him.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, he's probably exhausted. 6:30
yeah.
in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, probably just pulled into town. Wants to get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to talk to anybody. But I've forgiven him since. But at the time, I thought he was a real dickhead.
Another funny Fred Schneider thing. So, as I mentioned before, I used to be a buyer at a now defunct online store called Soundstage Direct. So the guy who owned Soundstage Direct used to work at the Princeton Record Exchange. And apparently Fred Schneider used to come in there all the time with all of his promo albums.
Really?
And bring them down to Princeton Record Exchange. Take the train down from New York, bring them down, and be like, "Here, what do you give me for these?" And then would take this dude out for lunch.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. So it's pretty cool. All right. So real quick, just to get back to Booze and Vinyl. This book is also available on Amazon. I believe there's a Booze and Vinyl website as well. It is from Running Press. I don't know if that's a real publisher or not, or if it's a self-published book. Either way, I really fucking like this book. This is really kind of like I said, it was the inspiration for the podcast. It's a really good book, and that is my review. This is an official review of Booze and Vinyl. That is for legal
official
reasons.
review of the book.
Yes.
What's it called?
It is called Booze and Vinyl, and
Booze and Vinyl.
there you go. And there are 2 volumes. This is volume 1, and we have volume 2, which sits with season 2's records. There you go. I got these
Can I see
from.
the cover of that? I like the cover of Volume
Yeah, I
1
like
better
this one better.
This one's got too much shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much too.
Like I said, this guy here was a gift. The second one I purchased off of Amazon, so I know you can get it from there. But also, if you Google Booze and Vinyl,
Booze and Vinyl.
yes, I believe they have a website as well. And this is a great book. Legal has been satisfied.
Great review.
Yes, thank you. So we are going to make drink number 2 for the Smiths, the Queen is Dead, and that is called the Obituary. And I actually like this because the first one they just kind of talk about the drink. So I'm actually going to read this one here. It says, "The Queen is dead. Long live the Queen. A classic New Orleans cocktail that upgrades a gin martini with the green fairy. This drink will surely wake the dead. The botanicals of the absinthe combined here with the gin's embracing cleanness to make the memorable drink that will enliven your palate." Sorry, I can't fucking read. I'm dyslexic.
Pause this.
Or it could live in your palate.
There you go. Depending on the absinthe used, the combination can also turn a stunning variant color. You will ask yourself, "Oh, has the world changed or have I changed?" So, again,
I don't think I'm gonna have that much of an existential crisis while I drink this, but
you might. Again, so
I don't know if I'm even
basically,
gonna like it.
basically what we're doing is we are making a gin martini and we're adding absinthe, right? And so here, let me set this up too. I had no interest whatsoever in paying the money for a bottle of absinthe. I went to look for it, so I was going to switch the absinthe with Sambuca because it's another ansin. I don't know how do you say that. The little seed things. I don't know how to fucking say it.
Anus.
Yes, those little seeds. It's a type of liquor there, and everything I read said don't do this.
Yeah,
but I was going to do it anyway because
that was one of my main motivators for actually picking up the legit stuff, because it was that you had said everything you read was like,
don't do this.
It's not like, they're kind of the same, but they're not substitutes for each other.
Yeah. So Adam sends me a text today. He's like, I did a thing, and sends me a picture of the absinthe that he bought. So I'm like, fuck yes. So I'm gonna go a little off of what it says. So martinis in general, like I said, I was a bartender. I wasn't a very good bartender or at a very nice bar, but when I was a cook at Sugar Mom's in Old City, I worked Sunday afternoons, right? So it was like, I'd say it was brunch, but we didn't serve brunch. We served burgers. And Sundays was me and this dude George, whose last name I cannot fucking remember, but he was like this French dude who was written up in the Philadelphia Inquirer about how good he makes martinis.
Really?
Yes. He used to work at Monk's. He worked at Sugar Mom's. He worked at a bunch of different places. And he taught me how to make martinis.
Okay.
So I'm going to make the martini portion of this with the absinthe in the way that George would have showed me how to make it. And he never stirred his martinis. He always shook his martinis. So I do have our chilled martini glasses here, which is funny because like they're kind of neat looking here.
They're so
I kinda
fancy.
like that.
You know what I mean? Which I was like,
my pinky out to drink.
yes. So I was looking in our, we have a curio cabinet with some glasses up there, and I was looking up there earlier, and I was just like, fuck, we don't have martini glasses. So I'm looking at a thrift shop the other day. I got Regina there. I'm carrying her around. I'm looking at a thrift shop.
So hipster of you.
So hipster of you.
Very country hipster.
Yes. And I couldn't find martini glasses. I came home. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to use like rock glasses for the martini version of it. And she's like, we have fucking martini glasses. Like my wife, I love my wife, but she hates it when I spend money on things we don't need to spend money on, which I did not do. But she's like, we got those cool things without, like with just those little glasses. I was like, oh fuck yeah, I love those glasses. So there we go. So the gin I'm using is actually a Philadelphia handcrafted in Philadelphia gin called Roadhouse Spirits Gin. This is batch 42, which I've never opened. I'm actually opening this for the first time.
I hope it's as good as the Roadhouse movie.
Yes. No, Row House, not Roadhouse.
I
Not
thought you
the
said
Patrick
Roadhouse. That's totally different.
Not Roadhead either. Yeah. So funny story about this. This was given to me as a gift. What was also given to me as a gift was the other bottle of Row House Spirits Gin that I had, that when I was moving out of my last living situation, someone had to keep. It's like, well, we have 2 bottles. So and I'm like, fine, I'm taking the one that's not opened. Mm-hmm. So that's fun.
So who got the other one?
DX.
Oh.
Yes. So here we go. So
now,
I am.
Before you close that, just out of curiosity, can I smell that?
Absolutely. There you go. So that's enough gin there. Whoops.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, like, because our dad is a big fan of gin.
I love gin.
He's a big fan of Beefeater. And
see, I don't like Beefeater.
Gin smells like Christmas trees.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
So
it's like a minty.
Yeah, like, so I'm super confused about what's going to happen, because we have Christmas tree and we have black licorice with the absinthe.
Yeah, so
I'm so fucking confused on what's going to be happening in my mouth.
I am super excited about this, even though I'm cheap and I was not going to buy absinthe. I've never had absinthe, and I've always wanted to have absinthe.
And it's not this. The only sad thing is that we live in the States and it's not real absinthe.
It's not real absinthe.
What's the difference between this and real absinthe?
The real absinthe will make you see shit.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken,
Oh, really?
real absinthe is made with, I think it's wormwood.
Yes.
Something.
You know, Wormswood, like in A Nightmare Before Christmas. You'd love that movie.
Exactly. But it's a hallucinogen. So.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So it's illegal to sell it in the States. So the absinthe you buy in the States is just basically everything but.
But the stuff that makes you see the green fairy. So
Why don't you drop some Molly in it?
no. So
Do you know who? You know how like celebrities all like it's the new trend now for celebrities to have their own liquor.
Yeah.
yes.
Do you know who has their own brand of absinthe?
who?
Marilyn Manson.
Really? That does
Really?
not
Yeah.
surprise me actually.
Hmm.
All
There's a
right.
lot I could say about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. Pouring this in here.
These
Hold
are
on.
these
I
are
gotta
gonna be
tap
passed.
you, I gotta tap you guys off. I wanted to make sure there's enough to go
A
around.
little sloppy toppy.
A little sloppy toppy. This is not the best shaker here. So I don't know if I didn't put enough absinthe in, but it doesn't really get that cool color they were talking about, but that's okay. Actually, it's got a little bit of a color to it.
Well,
Yeah.
when
bit of a color.
I first got here,
Hand me that rag.
Frank described the color as olive oil and piss.
Yes.
Yep.
And
I
now
stand
it
by
just
that.
now it's just kind of more on like the piss
More piss.
side. So I mean, it's definitely
Healthy piss though.
Yeah.
Healthy piss, yes.
I was telling Paul I was looking specifically for a bottle of absinthe that
did it
was
happen? Yes.
made in Pennsylvania, but the wine and spirits that I went to didn't have it. They had another one that was made in Pennsylvania, but it had like raspberry and lavender in it, and I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't know if that would fuck with what is intended with this drink, so I
Right.
just went with plain.
No, I think that was the way to go. Now, if you guys look, I know you have it, I have it here. Do you have it there?
What?
All right, so see that little thing in the middle? That's a little thin.
Yeah,
that's
he's got
a
it.
little thin layer of ice. So I made this right. George would be proud of me.
Is that what that
That's
little,
what that is. That's like
it looks like it's just dirty.
it does.
Yeah, it
but,
looks
but-
like there's been a small oil spill
Yeah,
inside the cup.
So I will say that George would be proud of me because I shook it right. I shook it the right way. I used the chilled glasses. Got that little thin layer of ice on the top. From it all comes together.
That's how you can tell.
That's how you can tell.
All right, good
Yep,
job.
Yep. He would be happy with what I did there. So here we go.
Slancha.
Slancha. Weren't you in a band called Slancha? It's not horrible.
Yeah, it's not awful. It's just
Frank hates it.
I'm out.
let me get that rag. It's not. See, that's the thing. Like,
I didn't think I was gonna like it. Nothing going into it was something that sounded like I would.
I always,
like it.
I used to get made fun of at work because they said that I liked old people candy. Because the one time
That's what it tastes like.
I went to, this is when I worked at one of the hospitals I worked at.
You know what? I actually have an open one.
I went up to I went to the gift shop and I bought a pack of Necco wafers.
Oh God.
And the dude was like, "What the fuck are you eating?" I'm like, "It's Necco wafers." He's like, "What are you, 90 years old?" I'm like, "Yeah."
The hell's a Necco wafer?
You don't know what a Necco wafer is?
No.
Oh.
Actually, I take that back. This is actually pretty fun.
Imagine flavored chalk discs.
Oh,
Yes.
That's what they are.
sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Do you remember they were called Wacky Taffies?
Yeah, of
There was-
course.
Yeah, so we used to use those like number one, the banana ones were the best one. Bananas and the green apple were the
I agree
best
with
ones.
this.
And in grade school, we used to have Wacky Taffies. We used to pretend it was Eucharist with Wacky Taffies. We'd be like, Body of Christ, fuck yeah, it's Wacky Tacky. Yeah, no, this is actually pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm out for this.
See, that's the thing. I
Take one more sip to see.
I really like black licorice. I really like Good and Plenty's.
Oh, God.
I really like Jaeger.
It's a mix of all those
And
things.
this is just like I feel like this may be a drink that was made for me.
It might. Well, here you go. You got.
I don't know if I can drink all three of them, but I'll definitely finish mine.
I think we should find out.
Let me get that rag. Oh God, yeah, that was. Oh
Yeah, can I chew on that rag when you're done?
yeah, go for it. Oh yeah. Ooh, all right. So, what are you drinking now? What do you got there? You got a Blue Moon?
Yeah, it's an import Blue Moon.
Okay, cool.
This is my go-to.
There you go.
always.
I know this.
Yeah.
This is
Let
why I
me-
got it. I have a Lion's Head Pilsner, which is from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Let me ask you a Blue Moon question.
Yeah.
If you go to a bar and you order a Blue Moon, do you get the orange?
I do. I like the
Okay,
orange.
see, I don't fuck with the orange.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, I don't like fruit in my beer. I like fruit in my beer.
I don't mind. I enjoy beer. I enjoy some fruity beers. I just think it's unnecessary. Like I think it's I also find I hate when people say I don't like Corona.
No, I don't like Corona.
I like Corona.
I do not care for Corona, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's because you don't put the lime in it."
No, I'll drink it without the lime.
I'm like,
and I
no,
still
no.
like
I
it.
put the lime in it. It doesn't do jack. The only thing the lime does is at the end of the beer, I try to get the lime back out of the bottle. That's the only thing the lime does.
I think Corona tastes like skunked beer.
Yeah, it tastes bad.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I think we talked about on one of the other episodes that I'm not a. You said you're a fan of the most
Mexican beers.
Mexican
Yes.
beers.
Yep.
And in my opinion, the only good Mexican beers are the two Modelos and the Amber Dos Equis.
Okay, I like all those, but
I'm
I
not
also...
going to say the name of the second Modelo because it's racist.
Yes, it is racist, but it is pretty.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
No, pretty much go-to for me is any kind of wheat beer. So, like, this is, like, the Miller Lite of wheat beers, you know? But, like, good Francis Connor or something. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I like Allagash. It's good
There you
stuff.
go. Allagash is good. So one night I sat there. I was underage drinking at a now defunct bar. So I'll say what it was. It was the Grey Lodge pub because it's not around anymore. So people won't get it.
I've
great
always
bar.
heard great things about the Grey Lodge,
Grey
and
Lodge is
like
great.
I was old when the Grey Lodge was still around when I was over 21, but I'd never gone to it.
It was a great bar.
And I'm
Yeah.
kind of upset that I've never gone to it.
So I was fortunate enough to go to the Grey Lodge pub before it blew up, right? Which I loved it. I loved it even more. And this is one of those, I'm not one of those like people who are like, oh, well, now it's all popular. I'm fucking going there. No, that's fucking stupid. Like the owner Scotes is a good guy, right? And I went there before it blew up, and I was so happy to see it blow up. Number one, the bar was based in Mayfair. Anybody who's familiar with Northeast Philadelphia, Mayfair is going downhill, and he probably stayed there maybe 5 years longer than he really should have stayed there because he believed in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So number one, that means something to me. It was within walking distance of my house, and you could get beers that I never saw before. At one point, for me and my friends, it was our Thursday night hangout. We went every fucking Thursday to shoot darts, just for fun, and play the jukebox and drink beers. You know what I mean? And
Their food was great, too.
the food was great too. And this was even before they had the kitchen, when like all you could get was like a tomato pie and these little fucking wraps that he would like pre-make and like heat up into tomato pie thing. So fucking good. So fucking good, right? So the first time I had Allagash, so me and my buddy, he was 21. When the fuck did I get a fruit fly in here? No, people can't see this, but there's this little fucking fruit fly flying.
Yeah, I feel like I look insane half the time because I'm just constantly like grabbing at like fuzzies and random flies and shit.
They're not going to show up on the camera.
You know what? Oh man, we just drank absinthe. Maybe it's the green.
That's what it is.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
The
it?
half a sip you guys had.
Like, I got it.
You got it. All right.
It's dead on my shirt.
So at any rate, so I was underage in there, underage like I was 20. You know what I mean? And my buddy was 21, and we were gonna go on like a Frankfurt Ave pub crawl. You know what I mean? We were gonna start at the Grey Lodge. We sat down and we had a beer, and we saw this. We didn't know much about craft beers because we didn't know shit about shit. Who knows anything at 2021, right? I mean, Adam had a 10-year-old, but that's besides the point. So.
Whoa, she was 6.
Okay, my bad. So anyway, we're sitting there, we're getting a couple beers, and then we see Allagash White. We're like, fuck it, let's try this Allagash White thing.
You didn't
and
get
we're
to fly a
yeah,
seat
I know. And we're drinking the Allagash White, and we have one. We're like, man, this is really good. So we have another one. We're like, damn, this is really good. We have a third one. Next thing, we're like, we're not fucking leaving. We're trashed. So that was my first experience with Allagash White. And I go into work the next day. I'm totally fucking hungover, and my boss. This woman Maggie, who was the co-manager at the Gap that I worked at, she looks at me, she's like, you're hungover? I'm like, yeah. She's like, what were you drinking? I'm like, Allagash White. She's like, oh fuck yeah, man, that happened to me too. So she's
like, you go take an extra 15.
Exactly.
Just go home, I'll cover for you.
Yeah.
So I am a fan of the Allagash White and wheat beers in general. I'm pretty much a fan of. So
far, in my experience, the only thing I've found that like I'm not a huge fan of are a lot of the stuff that's cherry based. I do not like Sam Adams cherry wheat.
yeah, no, I don't like the cherry
I
wheat.
do not like. I think a part of it is because all of my friends basically talked it up as like God's gift to Earth, but I do not care for Mad Elf.
Yeah, I don't
at
like
all.
Mad Elf either. No,
So some years I like Mad Elf and some other years I don't.
I got some cans of Mad Elf in the fridge if you guys want them.
No, for the most part,
No, knock me down.
I do not enjoy it. But pretty much anything else, like I've drank a lot of beer.
Yeah, you have. Yes, you have. Unfortunately, you can't check in these drinks on
No, it's true. I can't check in. What is it called? An obituary?
This is an obituary.
Is that because I felt like I was going to die when I took a sip of it?
Possibly. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Like, as you can see, there is Frank and I's drinks right there, or mine, or me. I don't know. I can't do that proper English shit. Not touching it. They're right there. We took some sips. We tried. Overall, though, this drink is not a winner for us. Adam loves it, and Booze and Vinyl.
Oh, again,
is a
I wouldn't say I'm not gonna go out of my way to order this, but
you don't hate it.
It being presented to me, it's not so offensive that I can't drink.
You know what I should do? I should go into because along 611 here, as Frank can attest to, I live in the fucking country. It is
the middle of fucking nowhere.
Right?
Exactly. When you think you've got in the middle of nowhere, go further.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a reason this is called the Country Hipster, as I found out tonight on my drive here.
Yes. I am in the country, and I am the hipster. And I actually explained to you quickly where the whole hipster thing came from.
Yeah.
Previously, and maybe our folks at home don't know, previously I considered myself, when I lived in Fishtown, Pennsylvania, I was the fattest hipster in Fishtown. And that happened because I walked into the Fishtown Tavern, like right after moving into Fishtown, and I looked around and I'm like, why the fuck is everybody dressed like me? It's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I'm like, oh God, I'm old. These guys are hipsters. And I look down, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm a hipster. And I didn't even mean to be a hipster. And then I was telling the next day in work, I was telling this guy, and he just starts laughing. He's like, this actually very talented artist, Scuds McKenzie. If you can look it up, his name's Derek. Goes by Scuds McKenzie. He has fucking amazing artwork, very like urban based artwork. So that's a free plug. Free plug, Derek. I don't even know if he knows I exist anymore. But at any rate, and he just starts laughing. He's like, you're the fattest hipster in Fishtown. And of course, like, that became my thing. And so then I moved out of Fishtown, and, now I am the country hipster. I've gone from the fattest hipster in Fishtown to the country hipster.
You are not underestimating that. This is definitely the country.
Yes. Did I tell you the story about the 2 times where I realized that the demographic that my clothing style fits into?
No.
So I'm wearing this hat. I was wearing this at work one night, and this woman who appeared to be a lesbian complimented my hat and said she liked it so much. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And she asked if it was Carhartt because of the color it is. And I said, no, it's by a company called Ape and Bird. And she complimented the fact that it has a pencil holder on the side of it.
That's cool.
And I said, I usually tuck my pencil into my hat, so I figured I'd buy a hat that actually just had a built-in pencil holder. So a little bit later, while our dad was in the hospital, I walked into the hospital wearing these boots. They are Red Wing Iron Rangers, and our dad's nurse, who very much appeared to be a lesbian, complimented my boots. And I said, oh, thank you, they're Red Wings. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. I'll have to look them up. So I figured out that I dress in the manner of a lesbian. But
okay.
But a hipster lesbian?
Hipster lesbian. That, you know what?
Male hipster lesbian?
That might be your moniker.
Is that my
hipster lesbian? Adam the hipster lesbian.
I should get I should get business cards made.
Okay.
It's just male. I just want to get free lunches at diners, but just a card that says my name and male hipster lesbian.
Okay. All right. So bringing this back to The Queen is Dead.
I said, do you guys remember here to talk about the album?
So your first experience with the Smiths was through Death Cab with
through a cover of the Smiths. Yes.
Okay. So is this really your first full experience with the Smiths? So
this is I will say this is the first time I've ever sat down and listened to an entire Smiths album all the way through.
And what did you think of it?
So when we recorded last week's episode, and we drew The Queen is Dead, Paul, I could tell, was very excited about it. Mm-hmm. So when I left Paul's house, I put The Queen is Dead on in my car right on the way home. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this literally sucks. I was like, this is fucking... I'm like, and I was really...
That's great.
This was... So, like, I really wanted to enjoy the Smiths. This, because we talked about it on the Say Anything episode, that, you know, like, when you talk about kind of like the forefathers of emo music, the Smiths are a name that always come up.
Absolutely, yes.
So me being a fan of emo music, I wanted to enjoy the Smiths, and I put it on. Granted, I may have had a little bit too much to drink, but I don't advise driving. But I was driving. I'm like, this is. I literally could not tell where one song ended and the next song began, and I'm like, this is literally just half an hour of the same fucking song.
So real quick, so that is actually one of the beauties of this album for me. Like the thing that that sticks out to this album is that now it starts with the song "The Queen Is Dead." It's got the little chant and it goes right into "The Queen Is Dead," which happens to also be the longest song on the album. It's about 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. You could take side 1 of that album and put it as side 2, and take side 2 and start with "Big Mouth Strikes Again." And you could play that album straight through, starting with side 2, and you get the same story from the album. Mm-hmm. Those sides are fucking interchangeable. And that's one of the things I love about this album. It is such a complete album. And either way any way that you mix up the sides or the tracks or whatever, you get the same story. No. From that album, and that's one of the things I love about it. I was like, I've talked about it with the Bright Eyes album, where I like a complete album where that from song 1 to song 10 it flowed and it was supposed to go that way.
Yeah.
But rarely do you have an album where you can go start at 5 and then go to 5 to 10 and then 6 to 1 and still get the same story. Yeah. And that's one of the things I love about this album.
So it's funny, I actually love the fact that this album starts with "The Queen Is Dead," because if you put it in context, like you said, this is the 3rd album by the Smiths, and the first album very, very good. Second album a little bit different, but nothing in my mind was as hard as "The Queen Is Dead" when that starts. And I felt like it opened that album to be like, all right, this is the next sound that we're going to do with the tribal drums and the wah-wah guitar and just the anger at the Queen. I mean, the funny joke about the Smiths is always that, their music is like a playground and their lyrics are like a cemetery. And I feel like this first song just opens up with like a lot of anger and they just stretch it out. And believe it or not, there was actually 2 more minutes of this song that they cut out when they recorded it.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yes. So this was recorded as an 8-minute song and they ended up cutting it way down. Jesus. But I get what you're saying.
I will say, though, I think in my initial listen coming home from Paul's, I had some factors fighting against me. Like I said, I was a little under the weather. I was driving home at night, so I was I was more focused on driving than I was the music. Today, I had to pick my daughter up from school, and I listened to the album again from my house to pick her to her school, and everything sounds different. I can tell every song is different, and this is a great and this is a good fucking album.
Yes, yes.
So it might have been where you were at the time.
Exactly.
Did you play it for Haley? Did she hear it?
I did not play it for Haley. Recently, so my daughter she's weird right now. She thinks that you can only be a fan, you can only be a fan of one artist or one type of music at the moment.
Yeah, no, I see that with her. Yes.
So for a while she was really into shitty mumble rap, and that's all she listened to.
Hey, listen, it's all about the future.
Exactly.
That's what she used to say to me. It was great.
She's the worst. But then she got really into a country artist named Devin Dawson, and that's all she would listen to. And then she discovered Morgan Wallen before he said the N-word.
How old is she?
17.
So you met Haley.
Yeah,
Cool thing. Haley, as we talked about in the pilot, Haley is blind. Haley is
Haley sang with us.
And
she's awesome.
That's what I said. I texted Paul today. I was like, just to confirm, Frank is the guy that played with Haley, right?
Yeah,
she's like, yeah.
At my wedding back in June, my wife and I are a huge fan. One of probably my all-time favorite song is "Take on Me" by Aha. I love the song. It's always stuck out to me. Happens to be by one of my wife's favorite songs. And so the procession for our wedding was Frank played guitar and my niece Haley sang "Take on Me" Aha, and like the MTV Unplugged version of it, and it was she was
awesome.
She was awesome. It was beautiful. It was great, and so yeah.
So yeah, she got really into country music for a while. She was really into country music, and now recently she's been getting into I think we talked about it on one episode how I feel like there's too many names for genres of music. Like you just you put the word post in front of anything and it just changes it fucking completely.
Yes.
So she's kind of now into like this post-hardcore screamy type shit from the like 2010 era. So I had a feeling that she wasn't going to care for the Smiths at all.
Probably not.
No.
That's where she's at right now.
that's where she's at, probably not.
I played Comeback Kid for her. But she seemed to enjoy that. But
I could see her going from the Smiths to that, but from that to the Smiths, it might be a little, So one of the things I love about those like screamo bands, right? So like, I used to book shows, and sometimes like I would put these shows together. This is when I worked at Big Nick's Saloon, and I remember we got this like screamo band in, and the singer walked in, and he was like this like 5'4", like skinny little like fucking 110-pound dude.
They always are.
And I'm talking to him. He's like, "Hey dude, how you doing? My name's like whatever his name is." Like, "Oh, what's up, man? Cool. Thanks for playing the show. Really appreciate it. All this kind of stuff." And then he gets up on stage and he's like, "Hey, what's up? We are." And I can't even remember the name of the band, but we're gonna play some songs for you. Like, what the fuck is that? It was like great. It was like, all right, cool, that's good
great
stuff. Yeah. So that's what she's into right now, huh?
At the moment, her favorite bands are a band called State Champs and a band called Of Mice and Men.
I actually like Of Mice and Men. State Champs, I've heard. I won't say I'm a fan. I won't say I hate them. No. I've heard them. I've heard of them. Of Mice and Men, I actually like.
She played it. Her favorite song she played for me today was called, what's it called? Second and Sebring. And I was like, all right,
okay,
I get what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I can appreciate your ability to play a double bass pedal because I can't.
Yes.
But
it's actually not as hard as you think.
I've never had the opportunity to.
Okay.
My drum set only had a single pedal. But yeah, that's what she's currently into. So I didn't think the Smiths was the right move for her, but I did go from not liking this album to really enjoying this.
How far in did you get the second time?
The second time, the whole way through.
Oh, you did? Okay. You got all the way through?
Yeah. I would say it's a very short album. It's only
36 minutes, something like that. Yeah.
10 songs, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
real short.
It's a quick listen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool, actually. It seems like, Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake is only like 30-something minutes long.
Yeah.
Smith's Queen is Dead is only 30-something minutes long. These are both great albums. Birmingham 6, Move On, is only 33 minutes long. So, all the greatest albums are 30-something minutes long. That's all.
Say Anything
you threw that out
is
there.
an hour and a half, and Paul fucking hated it.
I fucking hated that album. That was so bad. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Watch last week's episode if you don't know what I'm talking about. So what are your overall feelings on the
on this album? So I got a few. So first off, I think when you look at, again, I always think that you got to put yourself in context of when the album was recorded, when it was released. The band was fighting heavily with their record company at the time. Heavily. They were trying to get out of their record contract. They had an agreement to do one more album.
Rough Trade, I think is...
It was Rough Trade Records.
Uh-huh.
And it comes through so clear on this album. And I have some notes. So the song, Frankly, Mr. Shankly, which is the second track, is actually about a guy named Jeff Travis, who was the head of Rough Trade Records. And there's a reference in there where he says, I didn't realize you made such bloody awful poetry. And he apparently had written a poem for Morrissey and given it to him as a peace treaty at one point. And Morrissey just wasn't having it.
I never thought to myself, hey, I need to make peace with somebody. Let me write them a poem. Let me jot down a quick limerick and see.
Yeah, no wonder, and especially knowing Morrissey, like he's so pretentious as it is. He's probably like, really? Okay.
I was saying to Paul, if you're a follower of Hard Times News on Instagram, one of my favorite Hard Times News posts that they had was something about how there's a joke of like how with every generation there's the rumor that Marilyn Manson had one of his ribs removed so he could suck himself off.
Yeah.
But there's the Hard Times News thing was Morrissey had a rib added to prevent himself from sucking his own dick. I was like, that's pretty fucking good.
Fantastic. They're just their overall hatred of the industry during this album comes through so much. So Big Mouth Strikes Again is really about their relationship with the press. Something else I learned in doing some research in this, which I have no idea. Christy McCall originally sang the backup to this.
Oh,
Did
really?
you guys know this?
I did not know this. Christy McCall, if people don't know, probably the thing that people will know Christy McCall from is she is on the original the Pogues Fairy Tale in New York, she is the female singing.
Yeah.
Died in a very tragic boating accident in Mexico, which still needs to be investigated as a murder and not an accident. But anyway, go on.
So she sang backing vocals and did some harmonies, and the band overall just agreed that they were weird, that she did some kind of harmonies. So
I had a moment like that. So Birmingham's second album, I wrote the song called "You Are the One for Me," and I thought it was great, right? So I had this girl who I was seeing at the time too come in because she had a really pretty voice, really like high soprano, and I had her come in. I'm like, listen, I want you to sing like a duet with this when we record this album. And she did it, and like I'm like, this is fucking great. This is our Fairy Tale in New York. This fucking works so well. This is gonna like set our album aside, all this kind of stuff. So we do it, mix it down, send it out to the band, and they were just like, yeah, no, this is horrible.
Was it horrible? Did you think so? Or
I didn't fight with the band. I was like, man, I really like. It was like one of those things. It was like very much a collaboration, right? So I didn't fight with them. I liked it.
Which album was this?
This was our second album.
This was the one with your car.
The Kessel Run. No, that's the third album. This is the second one. The Kessel Run.
Okay, Iron Rations, Kessel Run,
and then Move On.
Then Move On. I'm sorry.
I still say, okay, so in retrospect,
did this make it to the album? Because now that you're talking about this,
the song is on the album. But we went back and I redid the vocals without her on.
I was like, I don't remember this. I don't remember a girl predominant female vocal on it.
As far as the consensus goes, it's a band decision. It was consensus. I did not agree with the band at the time, but
that's because you were thinking with your dick.
Well, I was probably partially.
Scale of 1 to 10, how hot was this girl?
I was in my 30s. She was in her 20s. So
the band was right.
Yes, the band was right. Yes. But regardless, I still stand by the recording, but I understand why it's not on the album. So like I get that. I get that. Sometimes that happens. Like
they were thinking with their ears.
Yes, they were thinking with their ears. I was thinking with a different organ.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Big Mouth Strikes Again. So Morrissey ended up singing the backing vocals, and they just used a pitch thing.
Okay.
But if you read the linear notes, it's credited to someone named Ann Coates, which is actually, there's a district inside of Manchester called Ancoats, Ancoates. So it's spelled the same way. So Boy with the Thorn in His Side basically is about the record industry in general.
Okay.
So there's a lot of angst and anxiety against the industry, the record company, all that kind of stuff, and it makes sense for where they were at the time. But I also think that this is an album that, for the first time, they had music that matched the vocals when it was really, really something that was supposed to tug at your heartstrings.
Yes, and I agree with that, because you got and I think you're right in the completeness where people say like the music is a carnival and the lyrics are a cemetery, and this album does perfectly. The music and the lyrics do combine, and they do complement each other.
And sometimes they don't.
One of the notes I took on the album, I've said to Paul before, Frank, I don't know if you are aware, the way I listen to the album and I write down my initial thought of the song. So when it got to Cemetery Gates, I was like, this is a kind of snappy fucking song to be called Cemetery Gates.
Yes.
So that carnival and I forget
cemetery.
Cemetery way you worded it is kind of fucking perfect.
It is, right? That's kind of the ongoing joke, right? Like,
what do you got?
Happiest music ever, most depressing lyrics ever, and they come together, and that's kind of the sound of the Smiths. But I think there's some exceptions on this. Like, I think I Know It's Over and Never Had No One Ever. They kind of fit with what the words are saying, which they hadn't really done before that. And I don't know how much, maybe a little after that with Strange Ways on like Last Night on Mulberry Street. But other than that, like they'll have the saddest words with the happiest music. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that before.
That was something that
No
I
one's
thought
done
of
it since.
when
That's for sure.
Maybe My Chemical Romance.
maybe.
Okay.
You know,
I can
but
see
like,
that. Okay.
just thinking like off the top of my head, I mean, I think they kind of set that precedent that you didn't have to match what you were saying with the music, and it still could work.
It's funny that you reference My Chemical Romance, because when My Chemical Romance's second album, Life on the Murder Scene, I think it was the 10-year anniversary of it being released. They put out a special edition of it that had like a bunch of live versions, and it had a DVD with it that was like talking, like basically just like an hour and a half, maybe hour long documentary following the band, talking to them about shit. And when they talk to the lead singer, he says his ideal band would be What If Morrissey sang for the Misfits.
Wow.
So it's interesting that you bring up My Chemical Romance when talking about the Smiths.
So that's kind of funny because you get like the angst music and the angst lyrics.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. So funny thing, since you mentioned the Misfits, Danzig, apparently in his older years now, has become a mentor. So
To who?
okay. So to preface this, all right. So I have a friend who is a drummer of the I guess they're metal. I don't really think they're like metal.
There's too many fucking genres.
There's too many genres of metal, but like
We'll just say metal.
We'll say metal.
Yeah.
They're a band called Valkyrie, also out of Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm friends with the drummer, and so they were coming around. They were on tour with Clutch.
Okay.
And so, you know, I sent a message to my boy Warren, who's the drummer. I was like, "Yo, man, you guys are coming to town. Like, what? You know, do you got time to hang out before the show?" He's like, "No, but do you want to come to the show?" So I was like, "Fuck yeah, sure, man. Yeah, I'll come out." And so,
Are you a Clutch fan?
I like Clutch.
so I couldn't name one Clutch song, but I enjoy Clutch. You know,
One
like
zero
like,
zero zero 1 1 1
Couldn't
0
tell
1 0 1. There you go, man. There you go.
Yeah,
Right there.
I couldn't tell you, but like, you know, but I you know, if someone like was playing something and I've been like, "What is this?" and they're Clutch, I'm like, "All right, cool."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so they were opening for Clutch on this tour. It was like a 10-date tour or whatever, and they were playing the Electric Factory in Philly, which is no longer what's it called, like
Franklin Music Hall.
Franklin Music Hall now.
yeah.
Right, so I go up to Will Call. I'm like, "Yeah, you should have a ticket for like Paul Weiss," and the guy hands me a backstage pass. I'm like, "Fuck yeah, Warren, hook this shit up," right? So like, I get it. It's like all access. It's like I could have walked on the fucking stage. Like,
Yeah,
that's
right.
like that's. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. So at any rate, so you know, I go and I watch Valkyrie play. They fucking killed it. And so afterwards, you know, they were the second band on, so I go backstage and I'm hanging out with those guys. Clutch was going on, so I didn't really actually get to see Clutch that day because I'm hanging out with them. Next thing I know, I'm sitting there in the dressing room. Everybody's like doing other stuff, and I'm sitting there with Pete, the guitarist, and talking with him. Well, Pete, aside from Valkyrie, is the guitarist for Baroness. Right? And so Baroness is kind of like a big fucking deal, right? Like they've toured with Metallica, they've toured all this kind of stuff. So Pete does some other stuff, and so he starts telling me about how he actually toured with Danzig, right? And he's telling me like these stories and this, that, and the other thing. And so finally, like their last show, they played in Philly, and then they went and they played in New York, and New York was the last show on the tour. And like at that point, he's just done with it. He's like, "Let me just get the fuck out of here." Like he told me like some other stories, which was kind of like funny and whatnot. And so the tour's over, you know, like he's getting his shit together, and like I guess like I've never experienced, so I don't know if you have, but I guess when you're like a full-fledged professional musician, it is straight a job. So it's like,
Yeah.
clocked out now, fuck you, I'm out. See ya. But he felt it was necessary to say goodbye to Danzig, just as a kind of like a courtesy. And like John from Baroness apparently was waiting in a car, already going outside, you know what I mean? So he goes into Danzig's, he pops his head and he says, "Hey man, yo, thanks a lot, Glenn. Thanks for having me on the tour. Really appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like good times. Like
No.
catch you, you know, another time."
I literally do the same thing to the overnight manager every time I leave.
Right, anything with a job.
So apparently Danzig turns to me. He's like, "All right, Pete. Yeah, cool. Here, have a seat." And he's like, "Fuck." He's like, "Have a seat, Pete."
He's gonna be his life coach.
And he sits down, and he's like, "All right, yeah, you know, I had a good time on the tour." He's like, Danzig apparently sits up and goes, "So what did you learn?"
Oh my god.
And Pete's like, I don't know, man. I got a fucking car outside. I gotta fucking go. And he just like up and left. So yeah. So Danzig's
like, you should read my book.
exactly. Danzig in his later years has become a life coach. You know, I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to see the most recent Misfits tours, but as
Is he even with the Misfits anymore?
he is, yeah.
He's
He is back with the Misfits, and I know they're
Is
doing
Doyle
some
back
dates.
with them?
It's the original lineup again.
No
They're doing some
shit.
dates.
They're doing a date with. They're doing a date in Jersey with the Gaslight Anthem.
Yes.
They're doing a date
That'd be a
in
cool show.
Yeah.
Florida, I want to say, with AFI.
They're
Oh no,
doing-
I'm sorry. They're doing a date in Florida with Megadeth,
yes.
and then they're doing another date with AFI.
Where's the gig in Jersey? Do you know?
I don't know.
I'll
But
look
wait,
it
are
up
you
while we're
interested
talking.
in seeing the Gaslight Anthem?
I love Gaslight.
Because this
Anthem.
motherfucker fucked me. If you want to see him in Bethlehem at the end of May, we might be able to work that out.
Did you get the tickets?
I didn't get the tickets, but I'll fucking get
Oh,
the
I
tickets.
thought you didn't get the. I was gonna say
No,
if
I
you
didn't
got
get the tickets.
ticket-
I didn't
okay.
get the tickets, but if I have someone to go with,
Let me know
now-
the date.
All right.
If I don't have a gig,
talk.
I'm in.
All right, we're talking. All right. So, actually, back to that since you mentioned about a gig. So, you do this at this point. If people don't realize this, Frank does Jameson Celtic Rock and his solo stuff. You do this professionally. Now, this is your
My full-time gig.
It's your full-time gig.
Yeah.
So we're talking about
By the way, the Gaslight Anthem Misfits show is in Newark
Newark. Oh,
at
that's a little too far.
the Prudential Center.
Oh
the
yeah.
date?
Okay.
July 8th.
You're gonna be down the shore,
down
buddy.
the shore playing.
Yeah. Making the money. Making the motherfucking money.
They're
it's a
playing.
Saturday.
They're
Wow.
playing
Yep,
in
nope, you're out.
June 24th in Tampa, Florida is the date with Megadeth, and July 15th in Phoenix, Arizona is the date with AFI, and
All Saturdays.
and Fear is also playing. All three of
dude,
these
I saw
shows.
Fear years
Oh
ago.
Yeah.
wow!
Nice.
All right, so if you like the Misfits, the original lineup will be playing around there. We just
Give
plugged
them a
the
little
Misfits.
plug.
Yes. So okay, so back to that. So Jameson is your thing at this
Yeah.
point now. Seeing how I have quit my job, technically, music is my thing now too. I'm trying to build the Ottsville Record Garage, which we are here. Did I mention that earlier? That we are in the Ottsville
Lovely.
Record Garage, OttsvilleRecordGarage.com. Go check it out. Buy your used.
I'll be
and
honest
new
with you, not to
vinyl.
interrupt you, but after watching the podcast, I didn't realize how big this warehouse went back that way behind the camera. It's got to be, is it like an acre?
Yeah.
There's I've never seen this many records before in my life.
Yes, well, when I said in the pilot that I could probably fit another 20,000-30,000 records. Okay, funny.
I want to drive the golf cart that goes up and down the aisles before when we're done.
Funniest fucking thing about that, right? So we're listening. Wait, my wife and I and the baby we're driving out to see my aunt and uncle. They live out in the Morgantown, Reading area. They just moved there to a retirement community and whatnot. So we're driving out there. Sis and Butch.
They moved it to Reading?
Yeah.
Because they lived 5 minutes from me.
Yeah, they don't anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're driving out there, and from us in Ottsville, it's probably about an hour and a half drive, which really isn't bad. Really, everything from Ottsville is at least an hour. So for me to go an hour and a half, it's yeah, fuck it, it's great. It's not that far. No. So we're driving out there, and I tell Katie, I'm like, oh, you got to listen to the pilot while we're taking this ride.
So she was probably great.
No, she was excited about it. So was it. And she got a couple cool, really genuine chuckles and whatnot. But then we get to the point where we're talking and I'm looking around the garage and I'm like, yeah, I probably have 10, 15,000 records in here, and we could probably fit another 20, 30,000 records in here. And I swear to God, I wish I could have done a reaction video because I just see her go, it was the funniest fucking thing in the
So
world.
what did I get myself into?
She's like, God damn it. Because she also knows that I probably could fit another 20, 30,000 records in here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bet if you went all the way down the end of the warehouse, there's probably a whole aisle that you could put more
Exactly. Actually, that little section right there, no lie.
Next to the pool?
Next to the pool is probably all of that right there is at least 15.
in. I can't believe how many people work in here.
I know.
Wild.
Yeah, it's
Wild.
crazy.
So back to that. So this is your full-time gig.
It
so
is.
basically music is at this point my full-time gig. I quit my real job as a supply chain manager to start an online record store, which is not to the point where I can call it my job yet. How do you feel about the music industry?
The music industry?
Yes, because we're talking about the Smiths and how a lot of this album, The Queen is Dead, is, fuck you Rough Trade Records, fuck you producer guy, fuck you this, that, and the other thing, and we're very unhappy with the media, so on and so forth. How do you feel about
So
it?
without the fear of sounding like a pissed off old man, back in the day, bands would put out an album, and that's where they'd make their money, and then they would do a tour and not make a lot of money, but it was to promote the album, and they made their money from that.
Yes.
And then streaming services came out, and you don't get shit from streaming services. So then bands had to start touring all the time.
Also,
so that
this
they could make some
podcast
money.
is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But anyway, go on.
I say Paul.
You're not going to make any money off that.
Yes.
Paul's told me like he gets a very minuscule check every year from
For about $25 from my
Yeah.
distributor, and most
So,
of it is from
and I
streaming.
know
Yes.
It's minuscule.
from the podcast, the other podcast that I do. I know that it's distributed through Spotify, and it's basically like it's something like $15 per 1,000 listens.
Oh, it's probably way less than that.
So yeah, so I'm assuming like streaming services like fractions and fractions and
It's
fractions.
fractions.
well,
And
like-
here's the other problem: is there's not a set amount. So people say, well, it's 3/100ths of a cent, 3/100ths of a cent
Yeah.
per stream, but it's not, because the more you're streamed, the more that rate goes up. So it incentivizes the people that had the most amount of streams. But even those people are not making the money that they really should. So then it was like, all right, now you got to tour and play all the time. But then where's that money coming from? Because say you get to the point where now you're a touring band and you're doing venues. Well, Ticketmaster is absolutely ridiculous. You can't
Yep.
buy a ticket for anything without a 40 to 60 to 80% charge on top of it.
Yeah,
Did
so
you hear
that.
what the Cure just did?
I love it. I got
There's
tickets.
like a there's
got
like a
tickets?
I got
there's
tickets and
like
I
a
got a little
class
refund.
action
Can I go with
lawsuit
you?
against Ticketmaster.
There is, but it's I don't know if that's going to fix anything.
Yeah.
Well, like,
So then it was like, okay, well now you got to sell merchandise, but the cost of shirts is so expensive. And then what other merchandise do you sell? CDs? Nobody has a CD player, and to print vinyl, as you know, is very, very expensive.
It's very expensive.
So I think it's a constant uphill battle. I don't ever want people to like an artist for the sake of liking art. I think you should try to connect with it. You should try to like it. But there's no easy path to try to become a musician. I play as much as I possibly can, and I've been very fortunate to be able to do that. But there's no other real way that's clear unless you get real creative.
Yes.
And I don't know what those creativities are. It's different for every person.
Yep. And I will tell you, you mentioned about the merchandising, right? So one of the bands that I really love is a band called Skinny Lister. And if you look over to your left there, you see a wall there of records on my wall here in the Ottsville Record Garage. Well, they're signed by Skinny Lister, right? So all of those albums that I had there, I got those when I went to see Skinny Lister, which is if you don't know who Skinny Lister is, you should go check them out.
They're great.
They're a great band. So I got those albums from seeing Skinny Lister at their shows, and I got them signed at their shows because that band makes themselves very available at the merch stand afterwards. That's like my third copy of each of those albums. You know what I mean? Because like I know what these people are doing. They're coming from fucking England to tour the US to sell records, and basically pretty much the way that a lot of these bands, you included, myself included, the way that they are making money to get to the next city is by selling a record.
But isn't it terrible that you have to buy 3 copies just to try to support them?
Yep.
When in all actuality, you don't need 3 copies. You know, like there's
No, I got
So that-
got my extra copies right here.
sell them on the website.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but like
So-
I don't mean to sound like an old man who's pissed off at the world, because I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I do. But it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy.
No, but yeah, but we get to do what we love, right?
Right.
That's exactly it. So I remember messaging you one time, and I was just like, man, I gotta play these fucking. I gotta play. I forget what song it was. I forget like that it was. I'm like, I can't believe I gotta fucking play this song again. And you responded. You're like, I love playing that song every fucking night. You know what I mean? Because it's like, hey, you know what? And it kind of put me in perspective, because it's just like, yeah, I gotta fucking play this song that I fucking hate, but my job is to play this song and drink beer.
No.
Right. So you can't really
So
complain.
it's like,
See, it's just
all right,
it's just
that's
frustrating.
so
Like,
good.
I can barely afford my 7 houses, and I'd like to get to 10.
Yeah.
And you know, I had to sell one of my cars. Now I'm down to 14.
Jesus.
Do you know how much it costs to upkeep a Rolls Royce?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
exactly,
do.
exactly.
See how much it costs upkeep too?
You do. You know exactly.
That's like, that actually reminds me of the movie The Replacements. You guys are familiar
Oh,
with
hell
that?
yeah.
Keanu Reeves.
yes.
Yeah. That's what I've said before. That is one of my top 5 favorite sports movies
I
of all
fucking
time.
love that movie. And yet Martello, it's like, do you know what it costs to like to insure a Lamborghini and to pay my and to pay 3 child supports? And I was like, you know what I mean? That's great. That's great. So so back to it. Where were we?
We were talking about the album.
Yes.
Right? The whole way we were here. I don't know.
Let me ask. It's something that me and Paul have been doing, for the past few albums that we've listened to. Frank, can you give us your top 3 favorite songs on this album?
So Paul did give me the heads up.
Okay.
I tried.
I did.
But I got 4.
You got
That's
4?
fine.
Okay, that's fine.
I hope I can do 4. All right. So first off, I Know It's Over. Right?
Okay.
Absolutely love the song I Know It's Over. It's in my top 3 favorite Smith songs of all time. I tried to look up what this song is about. The band has done very little interviewing about what the actual song of this is, which I'd always had an idea of what I thought it was about.
What do you think it's about?
I will tell you that I think it's about a woman who's seeing a guy and breaks up with him to marry somebody else who she doesn't really love, but who can take care of her. And it's from that guy's point of view.
Kind of like a side piece.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's a side piece.
Fucking how I see that in a song too.
Literally says right here, my interpretation: a bride, any relationship with her side lover, and this is from the perspective of the side lover.
Yes.
The thing that I took from this song is I've noticed while listening the couple albums that we've listened to so far for this podcast, I realized that I don't think that I was born to be a guitar player.
Mm-hmm. Dude, Johnny Marr's so good, isn't he?
Oh my god, he's so fucking amazing.
Because a lot of my notes are especially Paul can contest for Slayer. A lot of my notes were about the drums on Seasons in the Abyss. A couple of my notes are about the drums on this, but specifically for I Know It's Over. When I was in high school, my senior year, they gave me I put in for instrumental class, and I was playing guitar in instrumental class. And they also put me in for choir. And I think I might be tone deaf.
Yes.
Really?
So I said this to the choir teacher. I'm like, dude, you're wasting your time. I'm like, I should just go play an instrument while I have choir. He's like, no, I'm going to work with you. A week later, he's like, maybe you should go play an instrument. And I was like, yeah, I told you that a fucking week ago. So the instrumental teacher said to me, you're playing guitar already when you're actually scheduled for my class. So when you're scheduled for his class, I think you should play something different. So I was learning upright bass.
Okay.
I Know It's Over.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn the bass part.
It's
specifically
so cool.
to play on upright bass. When I said I wanted to play upright bass, I wanted to learn bass parts like this.
Yeah.
What they were teaching me was things you play with a bow.
Yes.
Which is understandable because it's what you do. But this is the kind of shit I wanted. It's not funky because it's kind of melancholy.
It's very staccato, man.
Yeah, but it's
just the drums, bass, and vocals. But it's so haunting.
But it's something that it's something I could just imagine just someone just plugging away on a fucking upright bass. And I
could definitely hear that.
I really want. I was like, when I was listening to it, I was like, fuck, man. I'm like, that's the kind of thing I wanted to be. I wanted to do funky walking bass lines, and I want to do shit like this.
Nice.
This is a great song for that.
Yeah.
Something else with this song is they actually recorded a trumpet part at the end of this song.
Okay.
And then they cut it from the original mix. And the bass player, Andy Rourke, I believe his name is.
No.
It's just a bass player and a drummer. It doesn't
Right.
No one knows. It's Morrissey, Johnny Marr, and the rest of the band.
So he has a recording of a mix with the trumpet. So I'm hoping someday that gets released on YouTube or something. Oh, did you guys see the video for this? And you guys were talking about videos.
I've not.
All right. So when you see the video, you'll understand this.
Okay.
All right, because that is from the video to this.
Nice.
Oh,
Okay.
So anyway, that's my first favorite. And these are in no particular order except for one. Cemetery Gates, I don't know why. No idea why. I love the song. Maybe because it's such a morbid lyric with such a happy guitar line.
Yeah, I said earlier, it's fucking snappy.
It's very snappy. It's a great way to put it, man.
Yeah.
Snappy.
You want to dance to it?
Yeah.
But it's really dark.
Yeah.
Really dark. And when this song came out, Johnny Marr had written the guitar part, and he was like, "Song's not done. And Morrissey was like, "Nope, the song is done," putting lyrics to it, and ended up loving the song later, but he didn't want to release the song. The Boy with the Thorn in His Side, that's my other one. This is actually the first single from this album. This song is actually, Morrissey has said multiple times, this is his favorite song that the Smiths ever did.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say that I think that this probably has the best vocal performance that he's ever done in his life.
Yeah.
Whether his yodels, his oohs, his ahs, everything he does is just absolutely gorgeous. If you listen on the album, it has the string section, you know, that they kind of added in. And when they released the single, they took the strings out. It was just the band playing. So there's a really cool, like, raw version. And then my all-time favorite Smith song ever on this, There's a Light That Never Goes Out. And in doing some research this, I found out that Lonely Planet Boy by the New York Dolls is what inspired the lyrics to this.
Yes, I saw that today too. Yes.
I didn't realize there's a lyric that they have called How could you be driving by my home when you know I haven't got one?
Funny
kind of took that.
Funny thing about the New York Dolls, right? I a band that I never got enough into was the same fucking dude who put out hot.
Yeah, man, Dexter Poindexter.
Dexter Poindexter, man. I was like, and I didn't find that out till like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, really?
I'm like, oh fuck, that's the New York guy. You know, and like I never like. I was
so
like,
do you remember when he was on Saturday Night Live as the house band singer?
No,
yeah.
I
So
did not.
when I was a little kid, I thought Dexter Poindexter was a joke because
I thought he was too. Yeah.
Up until this moment when you just said that, I thought it was a joke.
So this is pre-hot, right? You know, like the Saturday Night Live band, they're fantastic musicians that play in there, right? Can I grab one also?
Yes.
So when they would cut to commercials, there'd be Dexter Poindexter.
You got
singing,
some sort of IPA.
Singing whatever weird song they were going into the commercial break and the one he was coming out of. And I'm like, who is this tiny little guy with a weird pompadour and everything else? And when I was about 13, somebody played me the New York Dolls. And I was like, holy shit, this is that same guy? And then I think a year later, Hot came out. And I was like, what happened?
Exactly.
And they're one of the quintessential punk rock bands of the 70s.
And I did not realize that until like a few years ago. I'm like, oh my God. And then you go back and look at the album cover, the original like New York Dolls album. I'm like, oh fuck, that's really him.
That's really him.
Like,
yeah.
Like that band is like one of those bands who like it's one of those bands who I think people have heard about, but people never heard.
So they never really had mainstream success.
No, they did not.
And I'll be honest with you, I feel like the Smiths never had mainstream success, and that they're
U.S.
They're right in the U.S.
Yes. No.
Like in England. What's really funny is when they were really big in England, like around this time and around Meet His Murder, they were doing like kids TV shows and shit.
Really?
I swear to God, there's great footage on YouTube.
Like Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah, like those kind of shows.
But with Morrissey.
Yes, I swear to God, it's Marcy and Johnny Marr like on a school bus with a bunch of kids, and they're singing and asking them questions. And Marcy's got his flowered shirt on. And,
okay.
But they never really gained mainstream success, and I feel like at the time, even in the United States, like people kind of like shunned them. Like the stuff that was out in the 80s. So like even The Cure wasn't big then as they are now.
So here's the funny thing. So you see that poster right over there? What you guys can't see, what I'm pointing to Frank there, is I have a bunch of, as I mentioned before, I worked in the movie industry, so I have a bunch of posters, little mini movie posters on my wall. So one of them is Morrissey 25 Live. It's the 25th anniversary concert of Morrissey. This was
Viva
filmed.
Hate?
What's that?
Viva Hate?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I thought you were going to talk about this first time.
No. This was filmed in August of 2013 in Beverly Hills High School, which is like where all like the fucking famous, like the famous people's kids go to high school. They filmed it in the gym. And unfortunately, I was not working for the company I worked for when I was in the movie industry at the time. But they put out from Eagle Rock Records, who is part of Universal, Eagle Rock Pictures, which is a part of a Universal Music Group, put out this Morrissey 25 Live, which is like his 25th anniversary as a solo artist.
Okay.
And what shocked me, like that, it was just kind of weird, is that at the end of the concert, they did play a few Smith songs during that concert. I don't remember. I used to actually watch it while I was rolling posters. I would have to roll posters and put them in a box and like send them off to like movie theaters and whatnot. So sometimes I would put that on. Sometimes I put some other stuff on and I felt like watching. But one of the things that shocked me is in that concert, he actually, and it's like the fucking weirdest thing in the world. I don't know if you ever seen Morrissey live. I've never seen Morrissey live, like solo or anything like that. But he would stand at the mic, and each member who was part of his band had to come up and say, "My name is blah blah blah, and I play bass for Morrissey," and had to walk away. And the next person came up.
They didn't do that when I saw him.
Yeah, it was the weirdest fucking thing in the world. But
that's weird.
So it was weird. So that
it's very extravagant. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Apparently, we have there's another Irish band in the Philadelphia area called the Bogside Rogues. Tim Murphy apparently one day was hanging out at Tirnano downtown, and Morrissey was there with like his entourage.
Get out, really?
And actually walked up and said, "Oh my God, I'm a huge fan," and I actually got to shake his hand and whatnot. And then his like Morrissey's bodyguard was like, "All right, that's enough." He's like, "All right, cool, no, that's all I got to shake the dude's hand."
So funny.
Yeah.
from, I don't know what it is, something about everything I've heard, jokes of Morrissey and everything like that. I feel like I wouldn't want to meet him.
I agree with this.
Okay.
Because he seems like he'd be a fucking asshole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with this.
Yep.
Yeah, he has said recently that he doesn't believe there's any good music that comes out at all anymore. He only likes swooners, and there's no swooners that come out anymore.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. I don't, and this is my overall, I'm glad you mentioned it. This is my overall view of music. I don't understand all the music that comes out now. But I'm also not supposed to understand all the music.
It's not written for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm a 46-year-old fucking old dude, even though I have a newborn. I'm a fucking 46-year-old old dude who has been playing music since I was 13 years old. I've been playing music for over 30 years.
No.
Music today is not written for me. The music that was written for me was in the 80s and the 90s.
You mean Feeling So Fly Like a G6 is not meant for you?
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Exactly. And that's the thing. And I'm okay with that.
So I just said to my girlfriend last week, I said, the next time somebody my age says that there's no good music coming out, I'm going to tell them to listen to Lil Yachty, The Black Seminole.
Okay.
Because when you listen to that, you're going to go, holy shit, this is out right now.
And that's the
This just came out.
No.
When you hear it, this is like Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon mixed with hip hop.
That's awesome. And I have
it's-
no idea what that is, but now I want to check
It
it
is
out.
phenomenal.
Yes.
There's
And
so much good music that's coming out.
there is one of the albums that's on my top 25 that people are going to be like, really? And I swear to God, the year it came out, it was the fucking best album that came out, and it is a fucking amazing album. I'm not going to spoil it because I want it to come up.
Just make eye contact with me.
What?
Is it?
Yeah. You know what I mean? And people
agree
are gonna
with
be
what
like,
you're saying.
people are gonna be like, really? You fucking like? I'm like, I fucking love that album.
I agree with
Fucking
you.
Just
love
from you
that.
describing it,
but-
because I say you like that fucking album.
But that's the thing. Like that album was not made for me, but I get it. And and I remember this one time I was on the Frankfurt L coming home from work, right? And there was these three kids who got on. They happened to be black, right? Crowded fucking L. Rush hour, we're going home. Three of them were basically busking for money, right? They start singing fucking perfect fucking harmonies. I don't even know what they were singing. I don't know if it was a cover. I don't know if it was something they wrote. This old fucking curmudgeon dude who's standing to my left, you could tell had all long hair and a ponytail, but now he's wearing like a collared shirt with the tie, so he probably has some fucking city job and, you know, is fucking miserable in his life. And these guys are singing and they're fucking perfect. And he's like, rock and roll, man, sing some rock and roll. And I fucking looked at him. I'm like, they are singing fucking rock and roll.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't fucking get it. Like, you've given up on life.
There's nothing more rock and roll than three dudes trying to make money singing on a train.
Exactly.
L. You're
exactly.
absolutely right.
It's like this is fucking rock and roll. And that's why like it pisses me off like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when people are like, Public Enemy got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They ain't fucking rock and roll.
That's rock and
I'm
roll
like,
as fuck.
They are fucking rock and roll.
Absolutely,
Like,
they are.
If anything,
Greatest rebel band of all time.
yeah, I was saying,
Exactly.
Public Enemy might be more punk rock than anything else that's ever been put out.
Definitely since 2000, I think.
Yes. Like so when MF Doom died, right? I saw Sean Agnew. If people locally don't know who Sean Agnew is, he's a guy very local to Philly. Fucking started doing like really small fucking shows. Fucking blew up and blew up and blew up, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I believe the Union transfer is Sean Agnew. I believe part of the Fillmore in Philly is Sean Agnew. I know it started at the Stalag 13, my old band from the 90s called Disunion. We played a fucking Sean Agnew show. They used to do the church shows where all these fucking bands that blew up, before they blew up, they were playing fucking Sean Agnew shows. Sean Agnew and Tony Croasdale. And they would do these fucking shows and they would do these things and he would see these bands beforehand. And that is fucking rock and roll, man. He's like fucking, it would be amazing. And that is what it's about.
So I think our generation, probably even more so than yours, because you're a little bit younger, but like our parents' generation, the biggest separation between us and them was hip hop.
Yes.
And the biggest generation between them and their parents was rock and roll. But there's not a whole lot of anything brand new genre type of music. It's just kind of like alterations of rock, alterations of hip hop.
No.
So like like I can appreciate what they're
It's
doing.
like I said earlier, like you put post in front of anything, or
Right,
you put one single fucking thing in front of anything, and it becomes different.
Yeah, exactly. It just becomes a term at that point.
Yep. So what are your three favorite songs?
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. We're about tangents here.
So when my initial listen when I left here after recording the Say Anything album, the only song that stuck out to me as that sounded different from everything else was Vicar in a Tutu. And I said earlier how I feel like maybe I wasn't supposed to be a guitar player. I was supposed to play something else. My note about Vicar in a Tutu is the drums almost have a two-step vibe to it.
Definitely.
Like, it almost has like an Elvis Presley type vibe to it.
They called it an oompa.
Yeah.
That's what the band referred to it as.
Yeah. Something the other number two, not in any particular order, but the second song I would put on my list definitely is which I believe you put as maybe your favorite. I think you said, I can't remember at this point. There is a Light That Never Goes Out.
My favorite Smith song of all time.
This song, the way I was exposed to this song in the movie 500 Days of Summer, this is the song that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is listening to when Zooey Deschanel realizes that he's listening to the Smiths. And if you've ever seen that movie, you kind of fall in love with Zooey Deschanel throughout the course of that movie if you're a hipster like I am.
Yeah. Real quick. Remember how I mentioned earlier I was 30-something with a 26-year-old? She looked at Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah?
She fucking did.
That's what's up.
The band made the right decision.
Yes. Yeah, they did. I'm just saying.
Just the exchange between her and him in that movie of to die by your side would be, what is the lyric?
The pleasure, the privilege is mine. It changes
to die
each
by
time,
your
but...
side would be a beautiful way to die.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful fucking lyric. So that would be on my list as well. And then I'd probably put, frankly, Mr. Shankly. I'd probably put. I think I'd put, frankly, Mr. Shankly on my top three.
Their other oompa song, they called it.
Which was probably, like I said earlier, the first Smith song I heard was Death Cab covering This Charming Man. Frankly, Mr. Shankly was probably the second Smith song I heard.
Okay.
So I'd probably put that on my top three.
So it's funny. That's the one that they attacked the head of Rough Trade Records.
Yeah.
It's all about him, which is hysterical.
So my top three, number one, and this is actually probably my number one favorite Smith song, is Big Mouth.
Really?
Big Mouth Strikes Again. Absolutely number one. It could be. Yes, it could go back to the fact that I was making out with the girl in the back of the car.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
I said I listened to this album when I was a little inebriated, and I
Driving home,
and I didn't care, and I did not care for it. But today, listening to this song, does Big Mouth Strikes Again remind you guys of Crazy on You by Heart?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was listening.
I've never gotten that, but yeah,
So
absolutely.
we were talking about it before.
God.
Paul traditionally hates Led Zeppelin.
Yes, I do. I fucking hate
And he said before that
It's okay to be wrong.
Led Zeppelin has stolen
Wait,
everything that they've
wait.
done from previous musicians.
I have
It's been
actually
proven.
prefaced this with each individual member is an amazing musician.
They are. And together, they're even better.
Together, they wrote two good songs
Yeah.
that they didn't steal.
So
We can
Paul
agree
has
to disagree.
All right.
Paul has prefaced that Led Zeppelin has stolen everything that they've done. I was really hoping you guys, since both of you have more of a history with the Smiths and everything, and Paul has talked about legal battles over music in the past, I was hoping that you guys may have had some insight to this, because listening to the riff of Big Mouth Strikes Again, it's almost spot on to Crazy on You by Heart.
It really is.
Yeah. Now that
And
you're mentioning it,
I'm curious if there's ever been any if you guys have come across, seen anything
not-
about any
not
legal
that I'm
issues
aware
over
of.
there.
I can say I Never Had No One Ever. They have referenced a song called "I Need Somebody" by the Stooges, and when I listened to that, I was like, "Oh yeah, I can absolutely hear that."
Yeah.
But no, I've never.
Yeah.
But just
I never even thought about it.
Like
until you just said
it started playing, and I'm just like dum 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 dum, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit!
Well,
like,
it's like
it
almost,
just needs that bass in front of it, and it's fucking set.
it's almost like you have John Cougar Mellencamp with ROCK in USA and the Romantics. What I Like About You.
Right.
Same fucking song. Fucking song. To the point where our brother Mike, who's the box of Michael is after, his cover bands actually used to do a medley of the two.
Did they really?
Which Jameson should do.
Okay, I'll steal that from your brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck, why not, man? You do. They would start it off with ROCK.
Take that,
USA.
Mike.
That's
Take that.
Right. Take that. That's
Your
right.
brother told me to take it.
I did. But
You
they
should
used
beat
to
him
do.
up.
They used to
me.
ROCK.
Go fuck yourself, Mike.
They used to be like ROCK in the USA. ROCK in the USA. Hey, what I like about you.
Same
And
song.
it's the same fucking song.
It is
you know
same
what I mean? So Big Mouth is my number one. Number two is I Know It's Over. Okay, and I definitely, as we agreed, that sounds like the aspect of the song is written from the side piece.
It's funny we both agreed on that because that's what I've always thought it was about.
Yes.
It's that second verse where he talks about the bride and the groom.
Yes.
And he says something like, "You may not love him, but you need him."
Yes.
And I thought, oh man. And then this poor guy is
Yeah.
going home to his mother, like,
right.
nobody
It's-
loves me.
yeah.
You know?
It's funny that you're saying that you might not love him, but you need him.
Yeah.
Because I've heard somebody in the past who is in a committed relationship who is considering, an extra marital relationship, saying that they might not be the person that I love, but they might be the person that I need right
Zach.
now. No.
No. Okay.
I'm not gonna say who it was, but it says like they might be the person
since
that
you're
I
gonna
might not
broadcast
be the
this,
person
Chris.
I love, but the person that I need. That's an interesting thing that you say.
Yeah.
You're interesting as fuck, Frank.
Thank you, man. Having a good time with you, man.
and then my number three on this album is frankly Mr. Shankly, because I've wanted to say that to so many bosses. Like I've wanted to just be like, I quit. They're like, why? Play. You know what I mean?
Drop the mic, walk
My
out.
Yes.
my favorite fucking line from Frankly Mr. Shankly might be, "I want to catch something that I'm ashamed of."
Yes. Rather than work here, I'd rather. Yes.
I said it to you earlier when I sent you the picture of me buying the absinthe. Like, I don't want to die without scars.
Yes, absolutely,
Like,
man. I
it's-
love
wanna,
that you bought
You want
this.
to do some shit that
was
you might
disgusting,
not be proud
but I
of,
like-
but you're gonna fucking do for the story.
So I think that this album, more than any other album, shows the real humor in Morrissey's writing.
Absolutely.
There's some
Yes.
great lines
Yes.
throughout this album that when you read them, you're like, that's funny as shit.
Yes. But no, like specifically, I used to work at this shoe and like clothing store on Frankfurt Avenue, where I totally wanted to tell like the owner, like, dude, you
Was
are
this-
such a fucking asshole.
Was this the Julius?
This was the Julios.
I was a spokesperson for
You were.
Julius, so
You
don't
were.
speak trash.
You were. I think he probably still uses those pictures.
I wouldn't do. I
Spokesman or spokesmodel?
spokesmodel.
Model.
So Paul used to work there, and I was probably
You were young.
Yeah, I was young.
You were like 4, baby.
Yeah. So I was 4.
It was 2000.
Oh, sorry, I was 10.
You were that old?
If I was
Okay,
2000,
alright.
it was
yeah. Okay.
Depending on what part of 2000 I was 10. So Paul, Paul was working there, and he had me.
All my siblings.
Season two,
Basically, we had
Kylie,
season two.
season 2, Zach, and then Kaylee. Callie? Am I pronouncing it wrong?
Well, it's Kaylee now. Yes,
Kaylee.
yes.
I was okay. I had it right the first time.
Yes.
So it was all
She was the real young one. Yes, she was like 4.
It was all 4 of us dressed up in Catholic school uniforms across the street, sitting on the steps of the fucking funeral home
Yes.
from Julia's. And at this point, you said at this point I was 10. I would get text messages of pictures from my friends, like 5, 6, 7 years later, of me as 10 years old.
Yes.
In fucking a St. Matt's uniform that I
great.
went to public school my whole life. So it was I'm like the what's the chick from the fucking Pepsi commercials? The model. Old Pepsi commercials.
Oh, I don't know.
What's her fucking the model?
Fuck.
I'm that model. I'm the most popular model for DeJulius.
Juliet Roberts?
No.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm thinking of an Noxzema chick.
Huh?
I'm thinking of an Noxzema chick who
Noxzema.
did a hit and run thing and is in jail.
No,
even know who you're
the,
talking
the,
about.
the one fucking. She was a fucking.
She was on 90210
Who's
for a season.
That one fucking model who.
All right.
It's gonna fucking bug me.
That's
but
all
yeah.
right. That's all right. You can
But
think of it
just-
later.
but
We'll
just so
talk
you
about
know,
it in the
I'm
next
famous
episode.
in the Catholic
Yes,
school.
there
You
you
should
go.
hit him up for residual
Yeah,
royalties,
I'm
man.
thinking about it.
So, okay, and this is hard. This was very hard for me to pick, and we also talk about this with all the albums we talk about. Least favorite song on the album.
Oh, man. So...
Now let me preface this. When we talk about the least favorite song on the album, is that we generally say that the least favorite song of the album is still better than the best song on some other albums.
So that's why I'm like, I hate to even say this because I love every song on this, but I guess if I had to pick one, it would be Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others.
Okay.
However, you know what I think's
fucking
cool?
happy you said that. Continue.
The song's kind of weird, right? And first off, the song fades in, and then it fades out, and then it fades back in.
Yes.
right?
It's a weird thing. Yes.
Way weird.
Songs
right?
fading out at the end has always been something that's always upset me.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a cop out.
It's like
I like a fade out.
No,
If it's a right fade out, I like
No,
a fade
so-
out. If it fits and it goes into the next song perfectly.
this is the way I've always looked
perfect
at it.
example. And I'm going to go back to the Birmingham Six. Perfect example of a good fade out to the next song. What was the third song on our first album? At any rate, if you listen to Birmingham Six, Iron Rations, whatever the third song on our album was, goes to a nice fade out, and then the next song is At Last. Boom.
I
Song
heard
number
that
4.
album, and I disagree.
It's a good fade out to a fade in. Fuck you.
I heard that album, and I think you're an asshole.
But no. You have like a perfect fade out to like the next song. I'm a fan of a good fade out.
The third song on Iron Rations is Nancy Whiskey.
Yes, our fade out on Nancy Whiskey is perfect into At Last.
No. Last Breath comes before At Last.
Oh fuck! I don't know my own
don't
albums.
fucking know.
I don't know.
I might put Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others as my least favorite, just because my note for it is Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others. Excuse me. Is the early emo version of All About That Bass.
Oh god.
It's the early emo version of a body positive message.
Can I tell you I love that song All About That Bass?
Oh yeah, it's a fucking classic.
Like, fucking Meghan Trainor. I don't know how people feel about Meghan Trainor.
Meghan Trainor's great.
She's fucking hot.
She's great.
She's hot.
So you got to back in that time, right? There was no such thing as pansexual. There was no such thing as transsexual. There's none of that.
There were two genders, and that's it.
No, because there was definitely there was gay and lesbian.
There was
But-
multiple genders.
But Morrissey, me and all my friends would talk about how he's asexual, right? That he wasn't attracted to men or to women, and this was like something no one had ever heard of back at that time, right? But according to this song,
That's another thing from Hard Time News is that Morrissey isn't attracted to men or women. He's only attracted to himself.
which is actually not a lie, right?
Yes.
So apparently when he wrote the song, he's 25, 26 years old. It was the first time in his life, which who the hell does this at 25, 26, realizes that maybe there is something about women that he should pay attention to. Like he just had ignored women his entire life.
Okay.
And then when he did that, he realized, oh, they're all different sizes. So he
Yes.
kind of wrote this weird song about it. And supposedly that the whole fade in, fade out, fade in thing is that there's supposed to be music playing in the background and another room, and someone opens the door for a second and then closes the door, and then the listener walks up and walks in the door and then learns that women are at different sizes, as if none of us knew that at the time. Like to me, it's fucking pretentious. It's weird. I still like the song though. I don't know why. It's still not
because that's the thing. Even the worst song on this album is better than the best song on other
It
albums.
almost strikes me as like Fat Bottom Girls by Queen has always
love that
struck
song.
me as kind of weird. This kind of strikes me as that type of vibe.
So at least Fat Bottom Girls, I think, was at least kind of done to be funny.
Yes.
This was not,
Yeah.
which is what I think makes it weird. Like if they had said, yeah, just we were trying to Vicar in a Tutu. They've said, we just wanted to write a song that we thought was funny. You know, take this churchman who dresses in drag. That's kind of funny. There's no meaning behind it. It's a fun, easy
although
song.
on like the whole Catholic school, like priest controversy kind of makes it a little different.
It does, but at the time it didn't.
No,
you know?
it didn't. Yeah.
But like, had they said the same thing about this song, like, it was just kind of meant to be funny, and some girls are bigger than others, I'd be like, oh, okay. But the song does kind of have some weird tinges to it. You know what I mean? Like,
so what's funny is the song that I find actually my least favorite on this album. Which again, I love this album. I think whatever order you put this album is, side B before side A, mix up the tracks, you get the same story from.
I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right.
So overall, it's a great album. My least favorite song on this album is actually the song that I think you guys, because you've talked about it several times throughout this podcast, is Cemetery Gates.
What?
That is actually my least favorite song on this album. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
What don't you like about it?
I it's just one of those things where like I was listening to the album and so here's what I found is that while we're doing this and we're only 4 episodes in, is that if I really like the fucking album, I'm going to listen to it multiple times. If I don't like the album, I'm really not going to listen to it that much. No. Right? So like the Slayer album that I thought we were supposed to listen to that we weren't supposed to listen to, I was like, oh my God, I can't make it through this. I listened to it 3 times, but I was like, I fucking can't listen to this fucking album. Say Anything, I couldn't fucking make it through that album.
See, that's how I felt like when I listened to this when I left your house after the Say Anything episode. I was like, fuck, it's gonna be that's why I listened to it to take my notes today.
Yeah,
because I was putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and I was like, fuck, this was a good album.
But like Stardust episode 2, I fucking listened to that album over and over. I actually I actually during I was like in between weeks of the Say Anything, I actually went back. I'm like, I don't fucking listen to Stardust. Yeah. So I went back, and listened to that. This album, I just kept putting it on and putting it on. By the way, Regina loves this album.
There you go.
So for the record, this album is in my regular rotation since 1986 when it came out. I've never ever stopped listening to this.
Here's the thing. So I had mentioned earlier that my note for There Was a Light That Never Goes Out was about 500 Days of Summer. So when I didn't realize that There Was a Light That Never Goes Out was on this album, so when I was listening to it after leaving Paul's that one night, excuse me, I just spit.
That's okay.
That started playing, and I was like, oh fuck, I have a playlist on my phone called Ready, which is what I would listen to when I get ready for work, when I'm driving to work, when I'm whatever. It's my any time of the day podcast playlist. That song is on that playlist. I did not realize it was on this album until it started playing, and I'm like, okay, there you go.
Here's what's fucking funny is that like now granted, I love this album. I've listened to this album a million times. I've listened to Smiths a million times, a bunch of different ways. I actually found myself at one point being like, when does How Soon Is Now come on? And I'm like, wait, this is on this album. What the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? So like,
do you know that song was released as a B-side originally?
Is it really?
Yes, they never actually released it as a single, and it never really got big until 20 years later.
Charmed.
Probably around that time.
Charmed, yeah.
Yeah.
I am the sun.
All right, so
great song, isn't it?
All right, so let's get to business. Let's get to business because we're at almost 2 hours. This is so far probably going to be our longest podcast.
Probably. Sorry.
No. Don't apologize. I have a feeling that our Booze and Vinyl and our special guest podcast, which actually, so I've reached out to a bunch of people. I don't know how many people you've reached out to.
I don't have anybody to reach out to.
No, you don't have any friends. I'm your only friend.
That's it.
I'll be your friend now.
Paul will talk.
Now that we've done the podcast,
we'll go talk about these albums in a moment. Be like, oh, I can reach out to this person. I can reach out to this person. I can reach out to this person. Like, I know people that I fucking work with. Like, it's amazing to me the connections that Paul has.
I know.
Well, so what's great is about we have 50 albums, right? And we are the 4th episode in. And I've reached out to some people. I have decided I'm going to stop reaching out to people because about half of these episodes, half of the albums that we're talking about, people want to be special guests on these albums, which is awesome because I think that's So all right, so one of the things I love about what we're doing here and with this podcast is like I was talking to my one friend, and this was after pilot episode, and she turned around to me and she said, I'm gonna go listen to Slayer now to see if I like them.
Yeah.
Not that like what I mean. She's and this this person is not a Slayer fan at all.
That's the
but
thing we were
she
hoping,
wants to listen to Slayer.
Yeah, that's the thing we were hoping would come from Summer Movie Club, where like you haven't. There's a podcast that I listen to called VH Snackin'.
Okay.
Where it's these dudes who collect VHS tapes. And they watch VHS tapes, and then they fucking make a podcast about movies that they watch on those tapes. Like, there's movies that, for instance,
sorry about that.
SLC Punk.
Which I've never seen.
I never saw it either. And then I saw that VH Snackin' put out a podcast about it, and I was like, I'm gonna watch SLC Punk. Yes. It also didn't help that, like, you know, one of Katie's favorite movies is SLC Punk. So it kind of worked. Yeah. But like there's been times where there's been things where I've specifically sought out what they're talking about to enjoy. Yeah. Because absolutely. I appreciate what the people are talking.
Like when I played my show on Saturday, like I had some friends come out to my show. Actually, people do come out to my shows every now and then. It's not often, but they do. And they were out there, and I was talking to my buddy Tom, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you guys watched the other episode. I listened to it, but I had to go back and listen to Bright Eyes first. Yeah. And I fucking hate that album.
You know, really?
But here's the thing. Here's the great thing about it. Like I love the fact that number one, he went back and listened to the album to see what we were talking about. Yeah. And I actually like the fact that he hated the album. You know what I mean? It's like it's not your thing.
It's not for everybody.
I say what there's some sort of. There's a quote from somebody, I can't remember who the fuck it is, but it's basically like, if you're making art that's just widely appreciated, it's not art.
Yes.
Like,
so somebody recently said to me, if everybody likes you, if everybody likes you, you're not doing something right.
Exactly.
You know? And here's the thing, I will say this about the Smiths, and I've thought this my entire life. Smiths are not for everybody.
No.
I absolutely love them. I think that there's a lot of passion in their songs. When people are like, "Oh God, his voice is so annoying. He's so pretentious. The music's so boppy." I get it.
But you fucking listen to it.
Yeah. Right. But you listen to it.
That is the Birmingham Six. We're not for everybody, but sometimes people like us. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna plug a few things here real quick.
Yep.
You feel free to plug things as well. So by the time this is published, this should be about the end of April. If you come out on April 28th, this is going to be published right around April 27th. On April 28th, come see me, Paul Weiss, the Country Hipster. I will be at the Bucks County Brewery playing a show. Hopefully by that point, I've worked out my collab with the Bucks County Brewery.
What day is that?
That is
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
I work Fridays,
well,
so
you're
I won't be there.
An asshole. So, but no, come out, and I have some other stuff coming up in May as well. But now that we're back on an actual timeline, which we mentioned in the comments about our other podcasts, is that we actually thought we were going to launch this towards the beginning of May, middle of May, but we decided to just go ahead and fucking get it going.
Let's call what it is. You got yelled at.
I got yelled at by our director, producer, engineer, Jack, that like, once you launch the pilot, you gotta fucking go full.
Yeah. Jack's actually exactly right. You can't just put a teaser out there and then let everybody forget.
Well, that was the point. So my plan was to put out a teaser at some time in April, and then let it go a month, and then release the podcast after. And you'll appreciate this as a former marketing guy. So gonna release it a week after Star Wars Day, because we're doing it on the 4th, right? So we didn't want the first episode to come out on May the 4th be with you,
because a lot of people are celebrating that and would miss it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we were going to do it on 5/11, and then so I was like, put the fucking pilot out there, and we'll do it, and it gives me a month to promote it, and then that happened, and Jack's like, yeah, well, this is great, but you're going to kill all the fucking momentum.
Yeah. He's right.
He is right. He is right. But that's the thing, and I talk about this in the pilot, how the reason we got into podcasting was because I would drive home from work with my son, and we would listen to podcasts, and I'd be like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, and that's why we're doing a video podcast. Mm-hmm. That's why we have this on so many different platforms and whatnot.
So I watch them on YouTube.
Okay, cool. cool.
Definitely.
Thank you. We have 25 subscribers now.
25?
25.
Frank's one of them.
Frank's one. Frank is one. I am one. Adam's one. My wife is one.
Actually,
Jack still won't admit that he has
I
subscribed to
may
us.
not even be, actually. I might just listen and not have
Actually,
subscribed.
wait. Hold on. Where
We
where
might have
are
a
we with
subscriber during this episode.
Let's find out. I might make you 26 right now.
Where are we actually? Right now we are at. Let me see the channel.
What's that girl doing squats?
What? Oh, I don't.
Guess what? You're
What's
up to
that?
27.
There you go.
And I'm 28. I'm
There we go.
28.
There you're 28.
I
All right,
wasn't even subscribed.
So there we go.
How funny is that?
We're up to that many. We're at that many subscribers. I'm at 17% on my computer, so we should probably try to wrap this up soon. So yes, 428. This is gonna hit your
I'm
airwaves.
at 78% on my computer. Maybe you should get a Chromebook instead of an Apple.
I love Apple. I really do.
Apple did iTunes and iPhones, and that's the only thing.
Did you find your Bitcoin white paper on it? Apparently, it's on all the Apple computers.
Is it
See that?
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
they hid it in a secret file. This just came out last week.
All right. So what is what does Jameson have coming up towards the end of April, beginning of May?
The 29th, we're at the Refuge, which is down in Maryland.
Yes.
That's kind of like a folk festival.
That's awesome.
May 4th, we're at the Paulos, which is in New Jersey. The May 6th, we're in Annapolis for the Annapolis Irish Festival.
Oh, that's cool.
May 12th, we're at the Village Pub, and May 13th, we're at Liberty Point down at Penn's Landing in Philadelphia.
That's awesome.
Go
So
to Jameson Celtic Rock on Facebook, everywhere else, jamesoncr.com or jamesoncr on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok.
that's right. Check out the fucking Jameson. They're the bomb. I was briefly in the band. Not really in the band. I was just filling in for Dave.
You were in the
between
band
bass
in the
players.
sense that like Bright Eyes is Connor Orbers, but he just has people playing with him.
Yes, exactly. And I will tell you. So here's one of the things. Okay, so I actually have a grit of not.
You have a grit of what?
No, I don't have grit of anything. I have a debt of
I just-
gratitude towards you and Jameson because that summer I played 4 to 6 shows with you guys, right? From like basically the end of July to Labor Day weekend,
Yeah.
right? And so as a musician, I did have a real job, but all my real job went to my debt and my rent and my child support and whatever else I had to deal with at that time. So what I was not expecting was the money I would make playing with Jameson Celtic Rock. And so because of you wanting me to play with you for those like 4 to 6 shows, however many it was, I was able to actually move my life forward.
Oh, good.
I was actually able to take that money and put it towards moving my life forward. And right now, I'm here in the Ostville Record Garage, married to the
Giant
love of my
warehouse.
life, with a newborn baby because of Jameson Celtic Rock. So
Did you ever see-
I truly appreciate that.
Did you ever
You're
see
absolutely
the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark when they put the fucking Ark of the Covenant in the fucking warehouse?
Uh-huh.
That's what you have going on here.
It's back here.
That
There's
is
the
just
camera.
like
A
all
bunch
the way
of
down.
wooden
There's
crates.
way back.
Like Nazis want everything.
What is the section all the way in the back there that's kind of like sectioned off in glass? That's kind of like cooling control back there. What's that for?
That is the
Is
stuff.
that the really old albums?
That is the stuff I have not graded yet.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's actually all my Barry Manilow.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, real quick. Thank you so much. Not to interrupt you. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, no,
this has been a lot of
Thank
fun.
you for being
I
here.
Really enjoyed it.
When Paul had described to me how when I first saw Paul play a Bright Eyes song live and thought, holy shit, Paul knows Bright Eyes, I thought Bright Eyes was the kind of shit Paul would make fun of me for playing. And then he described to me where his love for Bright
Which
Eyes
was
came
from you.
Yeah.
That
I
album.
was
Yes.
so upset that you didn't make it to the Bright Eyes episode. So I'm so
I know.
fucking
I
happy
was
to have you.
super
here.
disappointed I didn't make it. I love
All
that
right.
album.
So back to business. All right. So we have a running thing going on, a running total going on. So my copy here of the Smiths, The Queen is Dead.
Listen to it.
All right. Listen to the Smiths, The Queen is Dead. So first, I will tell the story of how I came across this copy.
Oh, that's right. You told me this.
I did tell you this off camera last week. So my copy was actually purchased for me from my ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how it went down. So we were in an open marriage, right? So what if you're poly, cool, good with you, it's all good. Whatever. I don't judge anybody. It didn't work out for me in the end. So my wife was like, I'm going out on a date with my boyfriend. And I was like, all right, 2 things. She told me where she was going. She was going downtown Philly. I was like, number 1, there is a record store on South Street. They have a copy of the Smiths' Queen is Dead. I want that on vinyl. So, number 1, if you go down there, please pick that up for me. Number 2, do not go to the Ritz to see the Will Ferrell movie, Everything Must Go, because I want to see that with you. My ex-wife had this tendency of movies that I wanted to see, she would just go and see them on her own.
My ex-wife had a tendency of being a bitch.
It happens. So she went to, I think it was Repo Records on South Street, and she saw this copy here, and she did pick it up with me. I remember she texted me, "Hey, I got your Smiths albums that you wanted." I was like, "Oh, that's fucking great. Thank you so much. Have fun on your date." And then the next day, when she came home and we're taking the kids to the zoo, I was like, "Oh, what did you do last night?" She's like, "Oh, we went to the Ritz to see Everything Must Go." Mother,
I'm surprised you don't hate this album.
fucker. No, I love the album because I was super excited to get it. So that's where my copy came from. So it was all good. So I was like, fuck, So that is where I got this from, and this is a 2009 180 gram remastered gatefold copy pressing of this record.
Nice.
And as we continue to do these totals on the podcast here, guess what the suggested retail on Discogs for a very good plus version of my copy is?
Probably way more than the 2 albums of mine that we've covered.
Not way more.
So I actually saw the spreadsheet, so I don't want to give any kind of.
He shared the spreadsheet with me, but I just forget to look at it.
Well, I just updated. So first of all, I want to say, as we discussed previously, the Dead Wax tells you the catalog number and all that kind of stuff,
Which is super interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I said I learned that from Paul as well. So.
What's kind of cool is that the Smiths have this history. Even there was a recent 7-inch that came out on Record Store Day. It was a Smith 7-inch 2-song thing. It was 2 or 3 years ago, where they put some shit out about anti-Trump. You know, whatever. We're not getting political, so I'm not gonna, I honestly don't remember what it was, but we're not getting political anyway because this is not a political podcast. Yeah. But that was on there. And the Smiths tend to put some cool stuff in the Dead Wax. So one of the cool things that I found out about this is in the Dead Wax on my copy, and as verified on Discogs, is that on side A it has Fear of Manchester written in the Dead Wax. And
on your copy?
On my copy.
Get out.
And on side B it has Them Was Rotten Days. And I actually identify with that so fucking... What are you dropping?
I dropped the thing. I'm sorry.
You dropped the thing. I am identifying...
It's a lit candle.
Yeah. Oh, shit. You know what? That's not the first time that's happened.
I know. I heard it on the podcast.
So, Them Was Rotten Days, I can definitely identify with. So, what I do have is a 2009 180 gram remastered gatefold copy of this...
It says
yes,
right there.
Yeah.
Fear of Manchester.
Yes. And the suggested retail value when you put in the Very Good Plus on Discogs.
Yeah, that's fucking rad.
That is insane.
Yep. Suggested retail is $48.74. Now, which puts me at, we round up, so that puts me at $49.
Wow.
So I said before when you started talking, when you first mentioned the term Dead Wax, that it'd be a good name for a punk band.
Yes.
Putting shit
Them Was Rotten Days.
Them Was Rotten Days and Fear of fucking Manchester. Yep. That's fucking punk rock, dude.
And there's a bunch of shit like that. There's actually Heart has because I just recently graded a bunch of Heart albums, which are available at OutsvilleRecordGarage.com as well as our Discogs page. That's how you actually verify the thing. So that puts us currently... Your running total of your 2 albums is at $81, and I have regained the lead at $127 on my vinyl collection of my 25.
Is that what you guys are doing? Competing with the total?
Whose collection is worth more?
It's just to see, who's... And it's not even our collection, it's our 25.
Just the 20, yeah.
So the tens of thousands of albums back there in the warehouse probably add up.
So here's the thing. I don't consider the tens of thousands of albums in the warehouse part of my collection. I do consider the 500 or 600 that I have upstairs, which you saw earlier, as part of my collection. Yeah. Now, if you just went Adam's collection there, which is probably between 150 200 records, that last bookcase there to the left, and then you compare my 500 to 600 records, which I did, as we discussed in the last episode. My wife and I, once we got married, we combined record collections. I just farted again. Sorry about that.
Nice.
I probably outvalue Adam. However, we did discuss that, like, I think on these albums here, between this and that, I actually think that Adam's albums outvalue mine, because I see some of the pressings there. He has a bunch of special pressings and whatnot. Some bands that like seriously, like some of the stuff he has in his 25 there are like, these were like ones and done. You know what I mean? Whereas mine are like represses or older presses and whatnot. So
I got you.
I don't think overall, I think Adam will win the running total.
I didn't expect to come into this winning.
But right now, I am up $127 to $81 on our.
And in Paul's defense, he was up a whole fucking bunch just on his fucking copy of Bright Eyes.
Yes,
Why?
yes,
Is that one a rare one?
Yeah, it's like because it's the 2016 remastered. I think it was like
It was like 76,
like $78 to $6. Yeah. So that's where we're at. So Adam, you got anything to add?
Yeah, like I said, I was very pleasantly surprised, because I listened to this album and I was like, what the fuck? Like, come on. So I'm like, it's literally half an hour of the same song, and I listened to it today and I was like, fuck, like this is a good fucking album.
Yeah.
Like, this is really.
Will you listen to any other Smiths albums now, or
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Nice.
I always remember growing up. So we talked about it in another podcast where Paul and season 1 of our family would steal each other's porn.
Yes.
Me and my brother Zach in season 2 would steal each other's band t-shirts.
Okay.
And Zach always had a awesome Smiths t-shirt that had the Meat is Murder
Oh yeah.
cover on it. And I was
With
like,
the guy in the
fuck,
helmet.
Yeah. I was like, that's a cool fucking logo.
That is a cool logo.
So like and like I said, I walked into this album really hoping I would love it, because the music that I listen to kind of comes from this. So this is definitely given me that kind of jump start to listen to more Smiths.
So I would say, if you're going to listen to another one after this, listen to the one after this, Strange Ways, Here We Come.
Okay.
Which was the last album they recorded before they broke up. They never actually even toured for it. Unfortunately, they broke up like 2 weeks after they released the album. But that might be my favorite Smiths album. Because I think their songwriting was at its absolute prime.
Yeah.
It has all the elements of this album, but they added in some keyboard. Lyrically, it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Still has the darkness to the lyrics with the happy music.
Yeah.
But that's a good one.
I was looking it up while we were talking earlier, because you guys kept saying Johnny Marr's name. And I'm like, Johnny Marr.
He's a legend.
Johnny Marr is in something.
He's in a lot.
Johnny Marr plays for Modest Mouse.
He did.
Really?
Yes, he
Oh,
did.
that's right. He
So
did.
he
Yeah,
played
yeah.
for Modest Mouse, he played for the Pretenders, he played for Electronica. He has solo stuff, which is fantastic. He's great.
Nice.
He's great. I wish the two of them could kind of fix all their problems, but even if they did, there's problems with the other two in the band. I would love to see them live at some point, but it's never ever.
That is one of the things that, like, I tell Katie, like, so like when it comes to seeing like bands live, right? There is I do have a limit. I do have a limit of what I'll pay. I told her that this is one of the bands, the Smiths and REM. If REM was the original lineup with the drummer Bill Berry, is it Bill? Yeah, Bill Berry. If the drummer Bill Berry rejoined REM and said, I'm gonna do it, I'm like, there are two bands that I would pay whatever it cost to get into to the theater to see them play. It's the Smiths and the original lineup of REM.
Smiths, I definitely would put in that category.
Yeah, and because like some of those, like you see it, like I know people who like a couple years back paid like $300 to see the fucking Police at Citizens Bank Park.
It's not even that bad anymore.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. No, you know what I mean? Like even the bands now, I'm like, no, I'm not paying for that. Like with the Cure tickets, you got Cure tickets. I was curious. I did sign up for the Ticketmaster whole.
Verified
You know,
fan.
I'm a verified fan. I didn't get picked as a verified fan. Whatever, fuck it. I don't care. But even then, even if I was picked as a verified fan, I actually had a limit on the Cure because I've already seen them twice. I'm like, whatever. I've seen them twice, and I have pretty good seats for both shows.
And you're wearing a Cure t-shirt.
And I am wearing
right
a Cure
now.
t-shirt, which goes with the Smiths.
I was going to wear my Smith shirt, and I thought it would be cheesy.
You should. But at any rate, so like the Smiths and REM, like the Smiths were ever like, I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be $500 for me to sit in the last row of the fucking theater. I'm fucking buying it.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
You know, yeah, absolutely. So, do you have anything to add to this?
No, that's it. I just really appreciate you guys having me on. This is really fun. Really enjoyed this.
Thank you to Frank Daly from Jameson Celtic Rock. Go check him the fuck out. We have Adam, who is what did we say your name? The lesbian hipster?
Lesbian hipster?
Lesbian
lesbian
hipster? You'll be the lesbian hipster. I am Paul, the country hipster.
You just got canceled.
Yes, you did.
Probably.
I actually, we now have, not only do we have the Country Hipster Facebook, we have the Country Hipster Podcast Instagram, so go follow us on Instagram, as well as the Ottsville Record Garage on Instagram and Facebook, as well as OttsvilleRecordGarage.com. And thank you guys for hanging out with us. This is definitely our longest podcast so far. Hopefully you're here at the end when it's time to move on! Move on! Oh no, I'm gonna be honest and admit that I fucked up. So we fucked up. So when we finish filming this shit, I go piss.
Yeah.
And then we go right outside and we smoke. And I'm bringing these in. I think the blue lights are still on, so my wife might not be right upstairs, so she might not smell my clove and these cigarettes. It's the blue lights in our fucking living room. They were still on. I noticed that when I went to piss. I just realized we forgot to pick the fucking next episode.
It's funny that you mentioned that we forget, because I was thinking, because Frank is a guest.
Yes.
I think Frank should.
Oh no,
be,
absolutely. So mix that shit in.
Frank should.
So we have
the mic box?
we have the bite, but the
let
box of mic. No, that's totally what I was thinking. But we totally fucking forgot to do. Oh, fucking put that back in there. All right, so Frank is going to pick our next episode.
So real quick though, because I know Mike, and how I know Mike is from when you and I were in a band in high school.
Yes.
And I played drums, and we were not allowed to touch Mike's drums.
Swear to God, that fucking scene from some Step Brothers, that was my brother.
Dude, and
Don't touch my drums!
Mike came down,
He had the
and I was
fucking,
playing
like,
his drums, and he
space.
lost his shit.
He lost his shit.
And then I was like, "Oh, you like Rush?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Can you play Rush?" He's like, "I play anything." I said, "Can you play Tom Sawyer?" And he played it, and he fucking nailed it.
Fucking
And I was blown away, and he goes, "All right, you can use my drums."
Yeah. All right, so here we go. So
Number
number eight. All right, so let's see what number 8 is for our next episode. Oh, this is a good one.
Is it?
What's that?
I say, is it my handwriting or your hand?
It isn't me,
Okay.
and it may also be a special guest. I have to talk to him. He's the only person who said he wanted to be a special guest on this one. This is one close to my heart. So my daughter is named Regina, who is named after my mom, who passed away in 2012, and her favorite artist, Regina. Oh, yep. Anytime we have someone who,
let me get one of these because I don't have the first beer.
Yes. Anyone who passed away, we do an RIP to. This is to
go.
Regina, my mother. Passed away in 2012, who my daughter Regina is named after. This is her favorite singer and songwriter was Billy Joel. We may have a special guest on this. We'll see what happens. This is one of my picks. This is Billy Joel, Songs in the Attic. So it should be a good one. Should be a fun
album.
one.
It's a great album.
I'll probably get a little sentimental, especially since it will be the week before Mother's Day when that will be posted. So it'll be good. So there you go. And we added that to this, and my son is going to have so much fun fucking editing this shit together.
Sorry, Jack.
Yeah, sorry, Jack. We'll have to figure out how to add this in. Back to the smokes, which I have right here. And there we go. Now it is really, truly time to move on!